What's going on, motherfuckers? Welcome to the Crocs and Hot Pockets podcast. My name is Naaackers, and today is Sunday, October 27th, 2019, and this is episode number 108. Today, our guest is Rhianim8or. What is going on?
Hey, it's great to be here. Hey. I'm very excited.
Thank you. It's great to have you. So normally when I'm writing the scripts, I try to summarize what a person is or what they're about to give them a little bit of a Joe Rogan experience introduction. But the reason I'm having you on this podcast is because I know nothing about you. I see pictures, I see tweets, I see stories. I'm like, what does this woman do every day? It's so interesting. So the point of this podcast is not only to just sit down and have a conversation, but I want to know about what you do, because most people's social media is an embellishment of their life. I could not be more incorrect with that thought. When I think about you and your social media, I'm like, this is actually her life. This is what she does all the time. So are you ready for just I don't have that many questions. I only have a few questions.
Okay.
Okay. So first and foremost, one of my favorite things to do on these 1v1s is to kind of talk about how we got here, how we got to having you on the podcast and talking, what led us to meeting at TwitchCon. Sometimes I'm not always 100% sure how we met. But there's other times where I'm almost pretty positive. And I'm pretty sure that we met through Gray.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you remember if it was her rating me or if it was me or no? Yeah, that would be the only way. Well, no, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any idea what was the starting point?
I'm pretty sure, because I've thought about I think about this with streamers, especially ones that I've been getting to know, more regularly, or ones that I'm actually friends with. I've started to think about this a lot more. And with you, I'm almost positive Gray actually had you raid me before I'd ever watched your channel.
No
because
shit.
I remember there was a point in time, when I know Gray, I'm Boston Tom, and then a few other people had rated me, and I was like, what the heck? And it all happened back to back to back in one evening, and I was flipping out. I mean, I think I had 300 followers at the time. So for me, I was just like, what? I was freaking out. So I feel like that's how it happened, or it would have been because I was watching Gray and we rated you.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure that you were one where you rated me, and I'm like, who's Naaackers? I don't even know who this is. So I kind of feel like that actually might be how it started.
Okay, which is very surprising to me, because if anybody ever says, hey, I have someone you should host, my initial reaction is, shut the fuck up. Let me choose who I'm going to rate, okay?
Yeah, me too.
But it makes sense if it came from somebody like Gray, because Gray doesn't shout out people that aren't deserving. So I think that kind of sounds about right.
Right. Yeah. That makes total sense.
Do you have any idea what game you might have been playing way back then?
Well, I know exactly where I was living. I'm going to guess it was probably Doom at the time.
The game is so good.
Probably Doom. Yeah, it was probably Doom, because I was only 3 months into streaming. So I would think it would have had to have been Doom. Yeah.
You did not have a 3-month-old stream whenever we met. Whenever I remember first watching your channel, I'm like, there is no way. Thinking about it now, obviously, in retrospect, but looking back, what do you attribute that to? What do you think prepared you to have such a decent looking stream so early on?
Yeah. So I don't know. I've been streaming just 15 months now, I think. So still relatively new to it, but I went into it and I don't like to half-ass things. I mean, I also know I can't automatically do the best, but I can do the best with what I've got and know how to do. And so I was streaming for about 3 weeks, and I met Jelly Monkey, and she started drawing funny sketches of me and stuff and saying it to me. I was like, you're an amazing artist. And she was like, I was like, yeah, I'm trying to make overlays for my stream, blah, blah, blah. I just had these really crappy ones I made. And she was like, let's work together on this. And that friendship just kind of blossomed. Now she's one of my best friends too, which is super fucking cool. I don't know what I would do without her. And Yeah, so I mean, it's really, I owe a lot of that to Jelly Monkey, if we're really being honest, because she is a project manager through and through, and she's an incredible artist. And she just got on my ass and was like, okay, let's do this. Like, let's get on it. Let's power through. Let's make you look good. Like, she believed in me since day one. She's just been like, you're in your element. Like, do this. I believe in you. And I'm like, okay, I guess, so.
Isn't it great to have people like that? Getting into streaming, you already have a certain level of motivation and determination. Like, you want to do this thing and you're just going to set out and you're going to do it. But there's some times where you just need somebody to kick you in the ass just a little bit to kind of get you back on track. And I've had people like that in my past as well. And I can't tell you how valuable it is to have people like that in your life. I mean, I'm speaking in kind of just streaming terms, but to have those people kind of through and through, I think is super, super important.
Oh, yeah. And I try to be very genuine and bounce myself off of people and check myself against people that I really trust, because, I want to stay true to myself. And I've got a few people that are like, hey, don't change what you're doing here, because like, that's who you are. Like, don't change what you're doing because you have these goals and you think changing is going to get you there faster, like, just be patient. And so I've really been enjoying the ride, because I do have people like that even notice, like when I played Fortnite for a while, they're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, that's not your, like stuff like that. It's like, why are you doing that? Or why are you playing this game or that game if you don't really enjoy it? And so that's been really good.
Oh, did you weren't playing Fortnite because you wanted to?
No, I played it because everybody bullied me into it. Are you kidding me?
Oh, no. Oh, that sucks.
I tell everyone that. And then it sucks because I got a lot of followers because of it. But then I quit playing. And then they're like, when are you going to play Fortnite? And I'm like, never fucking again.
Never again.
Like off stream with my nephew or something.
That would be my same exact reaction if it was any time before like a month ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I played it a lot at the time. But yeah, no. I mean, just things like that. But it's been good. I've had a good sounding board that I can really trust, and that's nice too. And it's weird to admit that publicly, because I feel like I don't, like, a lot of people who watch us don't always necessarily understand like what goes on behind the scenes. Like,
oh,
what
absolutely.
we're thinking, where our heads are, how much work we're doing off camera to do towards it, So that's kind of fascinating to me, because people knew how much time I just spend on the phone talking to people who can advise me and keep me straight. Like, it's a lot, actually.
Other than you making a connection with your artist, have you found it harder to make those type of connections in the Twitch world? Is it the same amount of difficulty? Do you find it easier? Like, when it comes to finding people who have common interests, ones that you can trust with, personal and professional information, have you found it easy to find those people, or kind of more difficult?
That's tricky, because I'm a very trusting person. So Twitch has also been a really big life lesson for me in boundaries and like how to have boundaries, because I've been involved in internet groups and communities for a long time before I was on Twitch. And it's like, we would just meet up. It was never a big deal and stuff like that. And you never gave it a second thought, really, if there was a group of you getting together or whatever. And now it's like, oh, this is a different world. I can't quite operate so freely within it and just trust everybody. So I would say it's a little harder for me on Twitch now, just because I feel more guarded.
Really?
Yeah.
What part did getting involved in Twitch make you become more guarded, or?
I mean, maybe guarded isn't the right word. I'm more discerning.
Okay.
Like, I take more time to evaluate people now. And I think that's a good thing. But that's definitely new.
Oh, absolutely. I like to ask, every time I have a conversation, like a serious conversation regarding Twitch, I always like to ask, have you ever seen tweets regarding people complaining that they're always running into other fake people, or people that are only in it for the money, or they're only making friends with you to get ahead, or like clout chasers? Have you ever seen anybody on social media complaining about that?
I'll be completely honest, I don't spend a lot of time on social media despite appearances. Like,
Good.
I open it randomly and then I close it.
Okay.
I used to spend a lot more time on there. So I don't really see that, but I deal with the same thing with my career. So it's just kind of, that's like basically what my main career is about. So it's kind of like, it's just same old operations in my opinion.
Okay.
So Yeah.
Since you've started streaming on Twitch, have you run into more genuine people, or have you run into more people who it seems like I can't even tell if we like, or like if you like me or not, but you keep coming around and we keep having these conversations, and it's like, have you run into those people that seem disingenuous, or have you had a pretty good track record with people so far?
I've been pretty good. I think the ones that are disingenuous, I pick up on that pretty quickly because I'm definitely a very genuine person. Like I try to be up on the up and up, and like what you see is what you get. So I feel like I've been pretty good at noticing when people aren't super genuine, or at least I like kind of have a gut feeling. Now, whether or not I listen to that gut feeling initially, whole other thing that I've been learning, but definitely, yeah, I think I sense it. So I've been pretty lucky.
Okay.
Like, the people I'm friends with from Twitch, regardless of like streamer size, whether they have influence, like I don't even know who half the people are. People laugh at me because I'm like, I don't know who was on YouTube. I don't know any of that. It's just not a world I've ever been involved in. And I don't have a ton of time outside of work and stream to really be as involved as I would like to be in other people's communities, So that's just still stuff I don't know. So if I'm your friend, it's because I like you. And if I sense that you aren't being genuine, I'm not going to waste my time.
Right. Do you find it, can I word this? Does that bug you to not be more involved, or do you not really mind? You're just like, I'm just kind of doing my own thing in my own corner, and I'm not really interested in being emotionally invested in like every corner of this slice of the internet.
Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, I just dropped my fidget cube. Sorry about that.
Sounded like you dropped a Hot Wheels car.
I mean, sorry. Hi, I'm Rhianim8or. I have really bad ADD, so I play with a fidget thing. So no, that's a great question. Do I feel bad for not being emotionally invested in every corner of Twitch? Not really, because I like being well-rounded. And I think one of the things that my friends like about me is that I do have so many varied interests, and I bring like variety to their lives. So I don't really feel too bad about it. I do wish that there were some people who have supported me so much, and I wish I could support them more. But my hope is that maybe my way of doing things will lend to other opportunities later on down the road where I can support them or that sort of thing, because there are certain streamers, especially ones that live here in LA, like that are good friends of mine. And like, for instance, if I know I'm going to an event and I've got a +1 and they would enjoy it, like I try to give back to them in other ways and be like, let's go do this thing. And like, I'll drag you along with me or whatever, stuff like that, because I know I can't fully invest on the Twitch end of things.
Right. I've always talked about how my dream is to knock one day off of my full-time job, to be able to work like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, work the absolute minimum hours required for full-time employment, and just be like, I don't care what you need to do to my salary to make this work. If you give me health insurance and let's say 40 grand a year, if I could get like $30,000-$40,000 a year, I could make that slide so fucking easy. And the dream would be able to have like one day, even if it was like a day and a half, if I could work 3 days a week and then another half day in my full-time job and then still be able to do content creation, that would be like, I think that would be the perfect medium, because I don't think I am in any sort prepared to be a full-time streamer. I don't think I could be a full-time content creator. I don't think, if that means I never make it, fine. Then I'm not cut out for it. But I can't, like, watching what people go through of just like, I'm already sort of kind of paycheck to paycheck with a stable job, but it's stable enough to where it doesn't concern me, right? Like, right. I know that if I go and I do my job to the best of my ability, I'm still going to have a paycheck and I'm still going to be medically covered, which is what is important to me. Twitch is not the same unless you're making 6 digits, right? Like if you're making $200,000 a year, it doesn't matter if you get health insurance through your employer or not. You can go out and buy your own. So if I could work 3.5 days a week, 4 days, and have an extra day to kind of do whatever, I think that would be awesome. Now, speaking of work, real quick, first thing, when we were talking about how we met, like how you end up meeting people, kind of going through One of the
Right.
stories that always is the most intriguing to me is how I met Sonder. Me and my buddy, Mr. 42, were playing Rainbow Six Siege randomly offline one day. And we queued up with this guy. Have you ever played Siege at all or kind of know like how, do you know how it works?
I know nothing about it, actually.
Okay. It's either 5v5, 6v6. There's a certain game mode where there's a hostage somewhere and you have to go in and rescue the hostage. There's a certain gadget where you place something on a wall and it just shoots grenades into a room and they just randomly explode. This guy did that into the hostage room and ended up killing the 3 bad guys in the room without injuring the hostage like whatsoever. And we ended up playing some games offline a little bit more. And then we played a little bit down the road and his friend was Sonder. And Sonder is now one of my best friends, and he was my first sub on Twitch ever. We've hung out like multiple times, so it's so intriguing to me to find out where the origin is because there are so many connections that are made with like outside of anybody's control, and I think it's just the coolest things to kind of explore those. And now I can't remember what the second part of my God, I feel like I'm high.
Speaking of work.
Yes. Okay. Let's get into it because this is what I'm dying to know. Like I've mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, I see your Instagram mostly, which has like, it's like, okay, like I'm eating pizza and then it's, I'm all bloody and I'm roller skating. And then it's, I'm doing a huge gig on this like master. And I'm like, what? This is just going all over the place. And I can never like pinpoint where you are exactly because it always seems like you're doing something different. But it's awesome. It's intriguing. It's been a joy for me to be a spectator of. So the floor is yours. Tell me what the fuck you do for work.
Oh my God. I wish I knew. So I do several things. I work in live television mostly, but I've been transitioning into series this year. Too long, don't read of it is I've worked in entertainment since I was 15. Always had other jobs alongside that. Left for a few years while I was married to go back to school, study biological anthropology, apply to med school, all that jazz, got divorced, said, fuck med school debt, came back to my career in entertainment. So that's the long story short with like a lot of international moving and living other places and all sorts of craziness in between. But I guess like technically what I do now is I do mostly live television and series. And I manage talent contracts. Sometimes I assist depending on like if the woman that taught me needs an extra hand on a really big show, then I go and I work for her and she's the lead and I'm either an assistant or a coordinator. But then I also do my own shows. And I also produce. I started producing this year, which was a big goal of mine. So that's really exciting. It's hard for women to become producers to begin with.
Is it really?
Oh, fuck yeah. It is a man's world.
I know nothing about it. So
Oh yeah. It's really hard for a woman to become a producer. I think it's getting better. There's also just a lot of nepotism in Hollywood in general and a lot of politics about like people you have to hire on certain shows because they have a certain relationship with someone else. And that's a big part of the job that you have to deal with. And I freelance. So, breaking in and having a spot open up where a producer can say, hey, I got this person you've never heard of that I want to bring in and put on my team, and it's a woman, and then I want her to be a producer. Like that's a big deal. So I started doing that this year. I also do production management, production coordinating. So I kind of wear whatever hat gets me hired the most as a freelancer.
Okay.
And I mostly do, I was mostly award shows, and now I've started doing series. Thank God. No offense, award shows. You've been amazing to me, but I really want to do other things. So it's really awesome.
2 things. One, you are probably only the second guest that I've ever had that is consistent about looking into the lens of the camera and not anything else. You notice that?
I try it so hard.
You don't have to. Normally, it's people who work in television or anything live they stare at the camera. And I always like, whenever I know that I have somebody that maybe sort of kind of works in the entertainment industry, I'm like, all right, let's see how much they look into the lens. And you look a lot, but it's so funny that you're forcing yourself to do it instead of it not being natural. Or do you find it natural?
Into the lens. I get so much anxiety being even in front of a camera. Like I was born to be behind a camera. It's hilarious because before I started what I did in entertainment when I was 15, I like thought I would grow up and be an actress. And now that the thought of that is like, like, I'd love to be a host of a show. I think I enjoy doing that. And I guess that's what I do on Twitch. But like being an actress or something, like most being in front of a camera really freaks me out. So
you might have the wrong hobby. That is funny. So, that's actually kind of one of my, when I think about things that I would love to do on Twitch, hosting something, whether it's an event or an actual talk show where I have people locally, I think that would be awesome. I am pretty sure it will never happen because of how much I fumble my words. Like I can't be like cool, calm, collected and not stumble over my words. And I feel like in a live setting, that's probably not what people want out of a show. And so like, it's always kind of in the back of my head, like this is something cool that I would love to do. But at the same time, English is really fucking hard for me sometimes. And I cannot get the words out of my mouth. Have you ever seen the Kind of Funny morning show on Twitch? Or do you know of like Kind of Funny at all? I know you just told me that you don't know. Okay.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
So it used to be.
I heard about this ninja guy last week.
Oh my God. He's old news, don't you know?
Somebody used his global emote in my channel, and I was like, ninja.
Who the fuck is that? That's.
Anyways, continue. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. That's talking about TwitchCon 2017. That's how I felt then as well. I feel like. Because at that point, I had already been streaming on Twitch for 3 or 4 years, 3 years. And I felt I felt on the platform, I felt established, but I looked around and I didn't see anybody that I recognized because I had spent so much time streaming in my own little bubble that I didn't really I didn't go out and searching for other entertainers to watch. And that kind of flip-flopped of this past TwitchCon. I remember seeing so many different people so I 100% understand where you're coming from because you can be on Twitch, but not be investing so much of your time trying to like figure out, okay, what's everybody else doing on Twitch? Because that in itself takes so much it's so time consuming.
Yeah. And then I spend hours trying to figure out how to do those things. And that's a nightmare. And it's like, I'd rather just keep letting this evolve organically. I'm not in a rush. I like it this way. It's good, and I think it builds a more solid, longer, sustainable thing that I love rather than something that's going to hit a peak and then suddenly just crash and burn because I lose momentum because I've burned myself out.
Yep. As somebody,
which is kind of where I got at one point last year. I hit really bad burnout. So
really?
Like 12 hours a day. Yeah. And it was like 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I streamed from my bed. And I don't even know how I streamed that much, but I did. And then I like really hit a wall. I was dying.
Oh my. How did you talk for 12 hours? How were you live for 12 hours straight?
I lost my voice. Yeah. I didn't take breaks or anything either. Like I I was crazy when I first started and I didn't have a voice. And it was just, it was insane.
Were you always playing games for those 12 hours?
Yes.
Oh my God. To be able to do that in your first year is absolutely insane. Maybe I'm just the biggest wuss ever, but in my first year of streaming, an hour went by and I would be staring at the clock and it would be frozen. And I'd say, what the fuck where am I? Why isn't the clock moving? So the fact that you could go 12 hours and obviously it wasn't good for you. I mean, I'm complimenting you, but at the same time, guys, don't stream for 12 hours a day for 5 days a week.
No.
Were you also working at that time, or was it because you were freelance? You had some downtime and you had a lot of free time?
Sort of. I had just quit school and had just entered back into freelance, and I had some, divorce settlement income coming in. So I used that to supplement my daily expenses while I started streaming and stuff, and it worked out really great. And then I did that until about October or November when I started picking up a lot of freelance jobs again.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And you've already announced what you're doing next week, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't say like anything specific about it, but,
Right.
But I'm also scared to talk about what I'm working on. So much political insanity right now.
If you don't want to get into it for that reason, I'm totally okay. I am not somebody to shy away from a topic just because of like the potential, like I say backlash, but it's just like I don't mind confrontation, really. It's me having a conversation with another human being and asking questions about their everyday work. Like I don't give a shit about people's feelings when it comes to that.
Yeah. I mean, no, that's fine. No, I'm going to be one of the field producers for BlizzCon All Access. So I'll be producing, part of the roaming reporter segments for the All Access channel. So, but that's all I can really say.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. But, and I know a lot of people like feel politically strong about that company. But what I will say is I'm going to do a good job, and then I'm going to take the money and repurpose it for good and put it towards good things.
Yep.
So there you go.
I'm actually sort of kind of glad that you brought this up because I have two very conflicting opinions about that particular type of situation. And I've had this conversation with other people before when they say, like, I don't go eat at Jimmy John's because the CEO is a big game hunter and murders rhinos. And I'm like, okay, I understand that. But what about the millions of people in between delivery driver and CEO? The people that depend on that business to support their life, to support their families. Like, I don't see it as, yes, you are directly supporting a person. He's not the only person in the world that has ever had a great idea for a sandwich, right? We're not going to Jimmy Con and like praising him and, all this shit. So I understand if you are the type of person that needs to take your like moral compass to that extent. I don't understand it. And maybe I've never had something worth standing for, as prominent as these other people.
I feel so sad. I've never had anything worth standing for.
But at the same time, if you knew what every CEO did with their personal life on a daily basis, you would not go anywhere. You wouldn't buy anything. You would not, if you based your business off of what people do high up in a company, you would have nowhere left to shop. You'd have nowhere left to eat. Like you could pick out everything that you hate about somebody at every company and you would have nothing left.
Exactly.
So in your position, yes, you're working at something that's Blizzard related, but what about all of the people that have been involved with Blizzard games, Blizzard Entertainment, the producing sides of things that were just being involved in World of Warcraft or Overwatch has absolutely changed their life. Like I see you as doing a service for those people, not for the other people. It's like, okay, well, if I want to make that decision, I just have to forget about all these people over here just to please, this particular slice over here.
Yeah. I just try to be sensitive. Overall, I don't necessarily care a ton because these are the sort of things that are very career changing for me, and it's something I've worked a lot of my life toward. And that doesn't mean I'm going to sell out or sell my soul to the devil, but it does mean if I see an opportunity that's reasonable, like I'm going to take it and use it for something to better myself in my life. So,
right. And like you said, to be able to turn it around, not only are you bettering yourself as a person, but you can take those skills elsewhere and do better things. It's not like, well, I'm getting Blizzard tattooed on my tits. Like this is it.
But maybe. No. You know what's funny about that is I have a giant World of Warcraft tattoo, actually, but I've never played World of Warcraft in my life.
Explain.
Their artwork book, the art of the World of Warcraft, that came out in like 2000, sometime between 2004 2007. Had the best artwork for a phoenix in it. So like my entire ribcage is a World of Warcraft phoenix, and I've literally never even played.
No shit.
Yeah, so it's hilarious to me because I'm like, yeah, I actually have a WoW tattoo, and I am a gamer, but like, I don't have that.
I don't think I know of anybody that has a tattoo of something that prominent, and especially like that part of your body that is like the prime real estate, and you just dedicated it to a game that you've never played. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody doing that before.
I know, but it's beautiful artwork. I'm like, that there's so many things to appreciate about games. And whenever people are like, oh, video games are childish, or they're this or they're that, and I'm like, okay, but you're like taking that as a whole and like from a very particular perspective and point of view. Whenever you break it down and look at all the different aspects, like what about the composing? Like if you just heard the music and you're a music fan, you'd probably love the music,
right?
Or if you're just an artist and you had never even known it was a part of the game, and like me, saw this beautiful artwork and said, oh, I want that on my body because that artist is incredible.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's kind of cool to think about it from that perspective, that I just genuinely really appreciate a facet of the game. Even though I will never play WoW because it's not my type of game and it doesn't interest me. But that's okay. Like, you don't have to hate the sum of something just to hate it. Like, there's always something to be appreciated.
Right. This is going to sound super dark. But when you talk to somebody that says something like, video games are so childish, what are you doing with your life? Those are the moments where I wish you could commit crimes without any repercussions. Like in that moment, if you could just stab them like really quick, but then them immediately heal with absolutely no pain. Like you could just get the frustration of a quick stab and then you both move on with your life. Like, man, I feel a lot better now.
So like on dating apps, especially on like OkCupid, they have like a whole section where you can answer like, do you play video games? Do you think they're childish? Blah, blah, blah. And all this stuff. Like, would a Friday night in playing video games sound fun to you? And like when I look at match percents with people that have swiped on me and they say they hate video games, they think they're childish, they never play them, I'm like, did you read my profile? Like, I'm posing with like video game shit, things like that. And I'm like, you literally just swiped because you saw, oh, she like does these other cool things, like travels and looks like she has a good job and she's pretty. So I'm going to swipe right. I'm like, literally have nothing in common, bro.
God damn
I don't do yoga. I definitely don't eat clean. I mean, I eat healthy, but like, I'm not anal retentive about it. Like if I'm in a rush, I'll do what I got to do to feed myself.
Get fed.
Something. Yeah, exactly. So it's just kind of funny to me, like that whole thing of the video. Yeah, I like want to punch people in the face over the video game hatred.
So I was talking about stabbing people without any judicial repercussions, and you immediately segued into, so I was on OkCupid, and my mind went into this even darker place of, okay, Rhianim8or is a honeypot on OkCupid. She finds people that don't like video games, and she murders them.
New TV show.
Rhianim8or murders. Rhianim8ors.
The Rhianim8ors.
Oh my God, it's terrifying.
So scary.
Okay, so super hot segue, kind of back in reverse. Where did video games come into your life? Did they come in early? Is it something that developed a little bit later?
No, very early.
Okay.
I was probably about 4 years old. And my best friend's dad, who was always super cool to us, he was super nerdy. He worked at Tinker Air Force Base on like B-1 bombers in Oklahoma. Tinker's a huge Air Force base. And he worked on B-1 bombers. And he was just like the fucking coolest nerd ever. And he had an old Commodore. And he had Missile Command and Frogger on it. And he taught me and my best friend how to play it. My friend Jamie and I. So we played Missile Command and Frogger for like hours. And I fell in love. Yeah. And then my best friend Bo, our other very good friend who I'm still friends with to this day, me and him and Jamie were kind of like a little three amigos. And he got his first Nintendo and Super Nintendo before me. He always got everything a little bit before me because he was a year older than me.
See, stabbing moment right there. You got a Super Nintendo. Ugh!
Yeah, exactly. And my parents wouldn't get me a Nintendo, but as soon as he got his Super Nintendo, I begged and begged and begged. I was like, look, Bo and I can like trade games and it'll be really awesome. And they were like, okay, fine. So for my 7th birthday, I finally got a Super Nintendo. And my weekends were just literally me and my uncle, who's about 8 years older than me, because I lived way out in the middle of nowhere in Oklahoma. I lived literally not in a neighborhood or in a city. I lived out in the woods. And we would every weekend drive into town, go to the video store, grab some video games, a couple movies to watch, and pizza from Pizza Hut next door. And then we'd take it home and we'd literally just stay up all night on Friday and Saturday nights. We'd stay up all night long. I had my little TV in the basement with my Super Nintendo set up and all my games, and we would just binge like all the games. And we would try to beat it before we had to take it back on Monday when I went back into town to go to school. So like we'd rent it for the weekend and then just spend all weekend trying to crush the game. My uncle would get me past the hard parts that I couldn't beat, and stuff, or couldn't figure out. And I don't know. So it's like literally been my entire life. Like I took a brief hiatus because I get really motion sick when I game on 3D games. So the 64, like the bit rate and the frame rate and stuff, messed with my equilibrium a lot, and I couldn't game for a while. Actually, it was really hard for me. I could only game on my old Super Nintendo. So I missed a lot of modern games at their inception because I could only play on Super Nintendo for a while. And then in about 2008 or 9, I started figuring out ways I could, or maybe it was earlier. It's probably more like 2007. I started figuring out ways that I could play games without getting sick. And like specific ways I had to move. And then that's how I got sucked back into modern gaming. But up until 2007, I was still playing Super Nintendo games.
Oh my God. That is the most unique like gap in video game playing that I have ever heard.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I went from Super Nintendo to basically, I mean, here and there I play my boyfriend's GameCube or Xbox, but it wasn't very often. Like I wasn't super into it. It was like, once a month on a Friday, maybe for a little bit. But yeah, it was an Xbox 360 was when I came back to gaming like full force and started gaming all the time again. Okay. So like I literally went from a Super Nintendo to an Xbox 360.
That's quite the gap.
If I wasn't playing, I mean, I played like computer games, but I played like really lame ones like Snood. I don't know. You probably don't even know what Snood is, but I played Snood for hours and like Oregon Trail. Like that was really it.
I fuck with Oregon Trail, even though it's Oregon Trail.
Fuck that. I'm not saying it like that. There's no silent E at the end.
Oregon Trail and Arkansas.
I'm going to murder people.
I'm sorry.
Sean knows what Snood is in chat. Yeah, I played so much Snood.
So I see Snood and then Snood World. Snood on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
It's on Steam. I downloaded it. I was really excited.
So two fun facts. One, Super Nintendo was also my first gaming experience. And I will love that. I just now realized that there might be a reason why I love Super Nintendo so much. And that's because it has accents of purple. I think I've realized that in the past, but speaks to me. The Super Nintendo released in North America for $199, which is equivalent to $366 in 2018.
Yeah.
I don't think I've realized that it was that expensive. I
did. I had to buy all my own games.
Oh my God.
I worked for my dad during the summer. I made $25 a day and I saved up for a plane ticket to California and a bunch of Super Nintendo games.
Now I'm curious. Super Nintendo games release prices. This is what I'm curious about. It doesn't really have anything about games, more of just the console. I say console, and speaking of howing to say things, I say console a lot instead of console.
Oh my God, that hurts my soul.
I know. I'm fucking Michigan. I can't do anything about it. Okay, it doesn't look like prices. Well, if anybody in chat, feel free to tag me in chat and say, hey, this is how much the games were. But fucking Missile Command. I remember playing that on the computer. I don't know. Did that come out for a console before it came out for computer? I looked platforms, arcade game. Oh, it was an arcade game, Atari, web browser, and PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. They ended up having it on the PC that my best friend's dad had. Hang on.
Okay.
Sorry, my keys are probably loud.
The furious typer.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Where is it? Hang on.
Anywhere from $20 to $50 for licensed games. Wow. So then in today's world, that's kind of on par with our current $60 price tag for AAA games.
Commodore 64. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Commodore. That's what we had it on.
Okay. What are now in today's day and age with how games are now do you have as much of a problem with motion sickness as you did back then?
Some games, it kind of depends. Like the first 2 Far Cries, I couldn't really play. They made me sick. Now I can adjust aspect ratios and motion blur and different things like that. So it's not quite as bad. The only thing I've really had trouble with is VR on PlayStation. Like theirs still fucks with me, but like my Oculus is fine. But like PlayStation VR does not like me. So, but for the most part, there's a few games that still make me sick, but pretty few and far between, luckily. So I'm pumped about that. It makes me happy. I get to enjoy a lot more games now.
Right. I would not have guessed that you would be able to play VR at all. Like at all. So that's actually very, very surprising. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't for a long time because it just made me so sick. And then this guy that I used to date, he had the Oculus, and like I tried it and I was like, oh wow, this game actually doesn't bother me. And then I tried a few more games. I was like, I love this. I want one. Yeah. So
VR is an amazing experience. I really, really enjoy it. Ever since I've gotten my glasses don't fit in my headset correctly. And so I haven't been able to play my VR for any length of time for probably I don't know, as long as I've had my glasses. So 4, 5, 6 months. And I'm now arranging another pair of glasses that don't have frames, where they're just the lenses with, I don't know what it's called, but it'll allow me to put my face inside of a headset again. Because I've wanted to play VR for so long, and to have it sitting there in my living room taunting me every day and not being able to play it kind of really sucks. Okay. So as far as your life leading up to Twitch, how did you end up streaming? What was the connecting of the dots that led you to be like, you know what? This is really fucking cool and I want to explore this.
So that's really funny. It was not a long path. It was a very short path. I had posted a lot on social media about how much and a producer friend of mine messaged me on Facebook one day and said, hey, Rhi, I'm producing the E3 show for YouTube. Do you want to come and be a female gamer and be interviewed? And I was like, sure, let me look at flights, because I was still living in Denver at the time. I was like, let me look at flights and see if I can make it out. Looked at flights. They were super cheap. I said, sweet, I'll be there. He's like, wow, amazing. And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, I've been looking to get back into freelancing anyway. And he and I had known each other for a very long time, about 12, 13 years. And so I was like, yeah, this is a perfect way for me to come out, see you, say hello, and, help you out too. And so I did it. And at that show, I met another streamer and this other guy who worked, I don't know if he probably still works at Lego Gaming. But he worked at Lego Gaming, and they were both like, what's your Twitch channel? And I was like, what's Twitch? They were like, you don't stream? And I was like, what is streaming?
Wow, you didn't even know about it.
No, and this was like not this past June, but the June before. Like, I was literally like, I don't even know. And the guy from Lego Gaming was like, you need to stream. You're so fascinating. Your life is insane. It's hilarious. He was like, yeah, you need to be a streamer. And he was like, I'm going to send you a webcam and I'm going to email you instructions on how to do overlays, how to do everything. And just promise me that you'll do this. He was like, I'm not being a creep. I just think that you could be really good at this.
Normally when a guy sends you a webcam.
Right? No, it wasn't like that at all. He's great. And so he sent me the email. He sent me the webcam. I started streaming a week later. I started on Mixer because I had an Xbox and no computer. Like, all I had was an Xbox.
We're not affiliated with the Mixer platform at all. I just want to say that for the record. I'm just kidding. Mixer's okay.
yeah. So anyways, so I did it for like a week. And then because I couldn't use the webcam with my Xbox, they didn't allow third-party webcams. So I couldn't stream on Twitch and I couldn't use the webcam. So it sucked. And so I just used Mixer. And then about a week and a half in, Genso Chicken was like, let's use your Mac. Let's figure this out. We'll figure out how to set it up on your MacBook. And even though it's older, like we should be able to make it work. So I just did a direct line without a capture card and used like an Xbox app to capture my Xbox play on my Mac. Like you had to do so many workarounds. It was a fucking nightmare. And I streamed from my bed. I set up a bunch of boxes on top of each other with my laptop on that, and then just sat there for 12 hours a day on my bed, like gaming in my bedroom.
Oh like, my God.
No actual lighting. And that was after about a week or two of streaming without a camera. So it was just my audio. And it was really bad audio too, because I also didn't even have like a real mic or anything.
Oh, wait, were you using like the laptop or the webcam microphone?
No, I was literally using this inline microphone right here connected to my headphones right now, which I'm obviously not using right now. But yeah, this cord was my microphone when I first started streaming. And so, yeah, it was just, it was really crazy. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing sometimes, but I would like to think I've acquired a great amount of technical skill and knowledge now.
I would say so. As somebody who's been streaming for a long time, whenever I see somebody who has done it for a super short amount of time compared to me, there's a little bit of envy, a little bit of animosity, like the tiniest little sliver, but then there is mostly appreciation because I'm like, how the fuck are they so good after such a short amount of goddamn time? Because like I look at how I was for years. I was unwatchable for years. And when I say years, I mean like 3, okay? Like half of my streaming career was me not being watchable. And some people are just born to be where they're at. It's just like they can just kind of slip into this, this little slice of the internet and they can just perform. And it's not to say that you aren't putting effort towards it, because you obviously are. But there's some people who just catch on really fucking quick and they do great and they just start to shoot up. And I'm like, motherfucker. Oh, you're doing a good job. You're doing really good. So the 12-hour streams came in at the beginning of your streaming career.
Oh, yeah. 12 to 15 hours every single day. Like now I hit 5.5 and I'm starting to be like, oh, God. Like last night I streamed 8.5 and I was, I pushed it way far, guys. I am tired. Like I'm usually tired around 5.5 hours. I'm like pretty much like I'm cooked. Like let's do something else.
Do you think it's because of Outer Worlds, or was it just one of those nights where you could just go all night?
I'm really into Outer Worlds. And yeah, I think I just got pulled into it. Like I didn't want to stop playing, and also it was taking me forever to get anywhere in the game because I just love exploring every nook and cranny. And I chat a lot when I game, so I don't make progress very quickly in general. You have an awesome community in general, you have a great community, but the small talk that you guys get into and the conversations that you guys have, I always try and have you on in the background, but I always end up like getting distracted by what you have going on because I'm always so interested in the conversations that you guys are having. So shout out to your community because they're great at carrying conversations. They're good at trolling like a little bit, and they're really good at keeping you company. Like they're very, very supportive, and it warms my heart to kind of see that happening in other communities. They're amazing, and I think it's cool. I operate a pretty open door for the most part. There's certain subjects that come up that I'm like, hey, I care about this, but this is better. DM me about this. Like, this is better to discuss in a DM rather than bring it into chat. Because I do want to know, like, what's happening in people's days. And I do want to know, like, what's going on in their lives. And I want to get down to real talk. I don't like small talk. You know, I was laughing at that post that went around recently, the meme where it's like a streamer trying to keep his community chat going and the guy asking all the questions. And I thought, wow, I'm kind of like that. But then I realized I'm not, because I'm pretty lucky. Time my chat just like we organically just shoot the shit.
Yeah.
And I feel in that moment I felt really lucky for that, because I don't feel like I have to be forced and be like, everybody tell me like what's your favorite color today.
Yeah.
You know, or something like that.
Ripley's Believe It or Not host.
Yeah. No, that one's from Beyond Belief, not Ripley's
Oh,
Believe It or
fuck,
Not.
you're right. God damn it.
It's the dime store copy of Ripley's Believe It or Not. I watched both though.
Do you ever wonder what your cat's going on? Do you like omelets? Have you ever wondered what it's like in the captain's pit of an airplane? I saw that. I was laughing pretty fun. There's not too many memes that make me laugh out loud like that, but that one got me.
That one, I was crying because I have met streamers like that don't necessarily have a lot to talk about. I feel a little lucky that I kind of always have something insane to talk about pretty much every day.
Yeah.
It's weird. I'm kind of tired a lot. I've had enough interesting stuff. Can we just make it uninteresting for a little bit? So, yeah.
Real quick, are you in my Discord already by chance? Okay, do me a favor. Let's jump down to the podcast channel. Let me give you perms real quick. Your mic is cutting out every once in a while. I've been having this issue with Discord calls dropping the audio of the other person, and I don't know if it's because of the length at which we are talking. So let me mumble while I add this role for you. Let's see, Rhianim8or and guest. Okay, go ahead and join that channel. Hello?
Now I hear you.
Okay, cool. Give me a quick audio test again.
Check, Shrek.
All right, and one more.
Hello, hello, hello.
Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah. I have yet to figure out why that is doing that. I was using TeamSpeak for a while for audio, because the audio is just way better in TeamSpeak. Getting people who have never used TeamSpeak before to set up TeamSpeak correctly is way more of a pain than I wish to endure every other Sunday. But hopefully we stop having issues. And I completely forgot what we were talking about.
Well, we talked about how I started streaming, then organic conversation. You said you had me on in the background. I said, luckily,
yes, I
just always have something to talk about, it seems. And that's just kind of the nature of my life and always has been. So, yeah.
It's when I have this issue a lot where I get down because of the state of myself, the brand, the channel, all that stuff. And then I think about, you remember what it's like, Naaackers, when you didn't have somebody to talk to from start stream to end stream? Like, do you remember what it's like to go live and then end 4 hours later and not have anybody in chat say anything? Like, shut the fuck up. Everything is fine. This is a hobby. Enjoy yourself. Go fucking jerk off. Come back and everything will be just fine. And sometimes it's things like that where you're like, oh, Jesus, I forgot how lucky I am. And not to peg it all on luck, because hard work comes into it too. But when you think about like, shit, like I go live and one person is usually there within 5 to 10 minutes. And there's always somebody until I end the stream. And you think, man, that is just a godsend in itself, just to have one person there from start to finish. And to have more than one people, like I remember being super tiny and looking at people who had like 5-10 people in chat and be like, that's the dream, man. Holy shit. How are they not more excited right now? And then you get to that level and you're like, oh man, only 20, 30 people tonight. Shit. But it's just a natural progression of the streamer's mind.
Totally. Yeah, I fully understand.
In your journey with your current occupation, back up, medical school. How did you end up on the medical school train? This is what I'm dying to know.
Okay. I get that question a lot. When I was a kid, I wanted to be 3 things: a doctor, an archaeologist, and I wanted to work in television. My dad's a doctor. I've always been obsessed with adventure and travel, so an archaeologist seemed just cool to me, and I love bones. And then
Jurassic Park.
Yes, my uncle is my uncle's a pretty well established stunt coordinator, stuntman, producer, that sort of thing. So he and my cousins all work in the business out here. I actually pride myself on the fact that I've never piggybacked on anything he's done to get any of my jobs. Like, that was all of my own volition. Not that there's anything wrong if you have that in, but I'm pretty proud of the fact that I've kind of made my own path despite my family being established. So that's where those three dreams came from. I spent most of my summers growing up working for my dad, starting when I was 6 years old. He paid me $25 a day when I wanted to go in, gave me a paycheck, and I saved the money. And so I kind of always wanted to go to med school. It was this weird sort of, I need to feel validated. I need to be validated that I'm intelligent sort of thing for whatever reason, which is stupid because, like, it's just stupid for, all those philosophical reasons that we don't have time to discuss. But so long story short, grew up with a single mom, really, really, really poor, me, my sister, and my mom. Didn't really have a lot of time to focus on school. I started focusing on my career at a very young age because I was like, I have to make something of myself. Like, we have nothing. So I barely graduated high school, even though I was really smart. My teachers would get mad at me all the time because I wouldn't finish my homework or whatever. And it's like, I have a grown-up job outside of this, and I also wait tables or I car hop on top of that so I can actually, because my entertainment job didn't pay me in the beginning. It was an internship. I was 15, 16 years old. And so, I car hopped or bus tables or things like that. And I was like, I don't have a lot of time to sleep at night and see my friends and focus on homework. Like, fuck homework. I want to see my friends. I want to work, and I'll come to school and graduate. So I graduated, got into university, luckily on my ACT score, which I still don't know how because I was hungover the day of my ACT and I forgot my calculator for the math section. So it was all very bad. I was a wild child. Yeah, I was a little bit of a wild child. So, but I still got into college because of my ACT. So I got into the University of Oklahoma with a 1.8 GPA, which is amazing.
That's like what I graduated with.
Yeah, it was terrible. So I got into school, tried going to school, and just couldn't balance my workload. Like, I was then waiting tables, working part-time at an assisted living center, and also doing film industry stuff. So like, I just didn't have time to focus on school, and I couldn't afford it. I was having to pay for it myself. And for various reasons, I didn't qualify for financial aid, even though my mom and my sister and I had like $0 and got money from nowhere. I didn't qualify. So,
and now you have Darth Vader's head on a fucking bookshelf. What up,
right?
world? What up?
Life is amazing now. Yeah. So it was weird. I always had this longing of wanting to finish school, of wanting to prove that I could have done med school, feeling intelligent, not feeling like I was just trying to like trip through life and eventually make something happen with a career in Hollywood. But then as soon as I got successful in Hollywood, I was like, yeah, fuck it. Who cares about med school? But I kept having people ask me about it. And then I met my husband, my ex-husband. We started to get serious. He hated LA. He didn't want to live in LA. And I said, well, the only other thing I would want to do at this point is become a doctor. So I started pursuing that more based on like the life we were building together.
Okay.
And so, I pursued it. It was great. I got a full ride for my undergrad at UCSD and got into UCLA. Like, I never felt intelligent after high school and all my dumbness. So it was pretty redeeming for me, I gotta say, to like go back to school and say, hey, I flunked out and got 7 Fs 10 years ago. Will you let me into this very prestigious school and give me scholarships? Jokes on them, they did.
Did they really?
Yeah, I got a full ride. I got into UCLA, UCSD, and Berkeley and got a full ride to UCSD and went there. So
you are smart.
I fought for it, but and I worked hard for it. But yeah. So it was a trip. It was a very big deal to me, but I went back to school. And once I was getting divorced, I was kind of like, why do I want to be $300,000 in debt on med school and be a doctor by myself? I want to go back to LA and pursue my dream and my career in television and music. And I love it there. And so I just started emailing all my contacts, who luckily everybody that I've established, myself with over the years has been insanely loyal to me, which is hard to find in Hollywood. But as soon as I started emailing people, it was like, it's just been blowing up. It feels like last week I got so many offers for gigs. I'm going to piss somebody off and I'm going to have to shut somebody down, and it sucks. And like, I actually have been so stressed about that. And like, that's a new position for me. So I'm like, this person's literally going to hate me if I take this job because they'll view me as competition and they'll hate that they can't hire me anymore. That's where it's gotten to. And but that's cool too, because that's what people who freelance in this business, that's what they dream about. And for me, it's like, what's my next big thing to tackle? The shows I did for years were shows like the Grammys, the VMAs, like that. Those were my bread and butter. And when you've kind of lived out those childhood dreams, because I'd sit and I'd watch the VMAs at like 12, 13 years old and be like, I want to be there someday.
Yeah.
Fast forward to 2008, I booked my first VMAs job, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm at the VMAs. Like, I did my childhood dream. I want to cry right now. I remember doing a show, VH1 Rock Honors The Who, in like 2008 or 9, and texting my parents and being like, I'm standing on stage watching The Who play right now. Can somebody pinch me? How the fuck is this my life? So once I left med school, I was just like, okay, what's my next big and best? And I was like, I want to be a producer, but I want to get to where I'm producing some legitimate things. Now it's kind of maybe turning into, I want to win an Emmy. We'll see. That seems like a really insane, psychotic, lofty dream that is unattainable, but I think that's kind of my next goal, but we'll see what happens.
I think by your standards, you have already done the unattainable, so that doesn't seem too far off for you. I've seen your Instagram, okay? I know what's coming for you.
I hope so. I've been getting a lot of, it's hard. I'm not an especially I try to be a very practical person, but I've had a lot of things happening in my life lately that are, I don't know, I don't know if they're signs. I don't know what the fuck they are, but it's significant. Like, it's enough on a level that it's significant now. And I'm trying to pay attention and follow that adventure. But, the producer that hired me on E3 for YouTube just won his first Emmy this last year, and I posted the other day about getting this BlizzCon producing job, and he was like, "Atta girl." He was like, "Just don't forget me in your first Emmy speech." And I'm just like, I'm like, oh my God, he's won an Emmy. He's won an Emmy. He's saying this to me. That means he believes in me, because he wouldn't just say that on Facebook, and I'm totally freaking the fuck out right now. And then the EP of the VMAs, he comes on there and he's like, "I love it, girl." And I'm just like, oh my God, these people who are I've looked up to since I was a teenager and been like, I want to be like them, or coming on my Facebook and be like, "We're proud of you." And I'm like,
right.
I don't want to do you wrong. I just want to do the best at everything and be grateful for it and have a good attitude. And I know it doesn't mean anything until I'm there, but just knowing these people are in my corner is how have I done this? How is this my life? I feel I'm going to cry. I'm going to have a sip.
No, don't cry. So I remember, so the same guy that I was talking to before, Sonder, and Sonder, if I incorrectly represent your career, I'm sorry. He is a stage lighting technician. So he designs lights for shows. He just got home from being on tour with Bush. And then before that, he was touring with Bush and Stone Temple Pilots. And
I need him to talk to me.
And so every time he comes into town, they're doing a show and we hang out. And I remember he brought us backstage for Stone Temple Pilots and Bush. And I remember walking behind him as he was just kind of going through, talking to other staff members. And I remember thinking, how are you walking normally like you're on Earth? Backstage and around how are you just a normal human being around all of these super fucking famous people? Because I felt so out of my element. And even though I have a badge that says my name and it says I'm allowed to be here, I still felt like these people know I'm not supposed to be here. But some people, you just look at them and you go, you know what, you are exactly where you are supposed to be. And I'm sure however many years ago, he probably thought same thing, you're looking to the stars of the things that you want to do. And then one day you blink and you're just already there.
Yeah. It's weird. I had this conversation with my mom the other night that was very similar to that. I met some guy at a Halloween party a few weeks ago, and we just chatted the whole night, and then we parted ways, and I'll never talk to him again. But we had awesome conversation. At one point, he looked at me. He said, "It is insane how much you light up when you start talking about producing and your career in entertainment." Because I started in concert production, being a production manager for like arena-sized concerts. Like that's where my heart is. Is it actually more in music production, like live music shows, than anything? But I was talking to him about that, and he was like, it's amazing how much more you light up over that stuff than you do when you reference like med school or those years of your life or before. You know, he's like, you are where you're supposed to be. And people that see me at work, they're like, you're in your element whenever you're here. And I am like, I don't freak out. I work in the talent department. I meet with a lot of big people in very small rooms. And that's weird to me sometimes when I'm stepping into someone's hotel room and like, hey, like, let's go over your contract and like, let's talk. And okay, I'm going to step out and then, Mom, oh my God. Like, you know, yeah, I'm like, Mom, like she's my person. But I was talking to her the other night about how it was so evident going through my life's path in last week and being very introspective and seeing like where this seed was planted so long ago in my life, preparing me for the life that I'm living right now. And even understanding right now, okay, this is happening this way. So I need to be sure and pay attention to X, Y, and Z because this is going to be a part of my story and I need to not ignore it, you know, and just becoming more aware and more grateful. It's crazy. You know, I have like two, you know, I really want to be producing and directing. And then I also want to be a tour manager for a big tour. And a lot of producers like switch between the two. Like they will do music and they'll tour manage for bands or things like that. And then they'll also do the other, which is pretty cool. At least a lot of the ones that I know, because I do a lot of work for MTV and VH1 and stuff. And so that's, you know, that's kind of like my penultimate dream. Like when I'm sitting there at the end of the day where I want to be, like, you know, did I hit the producing and directing? Did I get to tour manage? Like, am I this well-rounded person in the entertainment industry that does it all? And, you know, so that's like, it's weird. Like, it's weird to even feel like I'm on that path and see the pieces kind of coming together. And I love that I have Twitch to share it with now.
Oh,
like,
right.
That's cool too. Like, I love that I can involve my community and they get to be a part of my story, like in a really significant way. You know, so that's another really awesome facet of this. Like I never realized what a blessing Twitch would be like to me just from it sounds really cheesy, but it's just like their encouragement or me like bouncing things off of them and being like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, how do I handle this? You know, like it's actually amazing because there's always somebody with a skill set or a life experience slightly different than mine that can like help me out, you know, to approach a problem differently. And so it's really fucking cool.
That is one of the number one reasons why I tell people that things like social media and Facebook are super valuable, because when you have a certain problem and you need a solution to said problem, when in the history of mankind could you throw a problem up on some website and get tens, if not hundreds of different opinions and perspectives and different sets of knowledge and different backgrounds? And maybe you make a good decision and maybe you make a bad decision, but having all of those tools at your disposal to be able to at least explore everybody else's perspectives, I think that's so unbelievably valuable. The example that I always use is we have a Facebook group for the city that I live in. How, like, remember 20 years ago when our parents were like, we need a fucking plumber. Where do we find a plumber? Yeah. Nowadays, you go to Facebook group and you say, hey, city I live in, I need a plumber. Who's great? And then you get all of these people that say, oh, by the way, Tim's Plumbing, you know, they're here on Facebook. They have 5 stars. 20 people have used them and they've been fantastic. And then you can just grab that and go that way. So I think it's the whole aspect of having, not even just having a community, but having other people around to kind of keep in your space to be able to bounce things off of. I think, like we talked about earlier, kind of helps keep you in check. And again, I just think it's super, super valuable.
Yeah, I love it. I'm a person that thrives off of the wisdom and insight of others. It's something I've always sought out, you know, of my own volition is, you know, who can I speak to that has a better angle, has a better edge that can help me walk through this with more grace than I would normally, because I'll just barrel through it and see where I wind up. And that's not always the best method. So it's been amazing for that. I love Twitch for that. It's incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah. In regards to like your dreams as a person and kind of looking into your future and going, that's the thing that I want to do. I've always had this feeling inside of me that was, I want to be a part of something big. Like I want to be a part of something successful, whether it's from my own doings or, it's a team effort. It's not ever that I want to be famous or I want to be known, like a household name. It's just like, I just want to do something meaningful, and I don't have any idea what that is. But I know that like every day I'm just striving to build something that I'm super proud of, and something that a lot of people, are involved in, because I think there's such a great sense of community on Twitch. And it's, speaking of community, it's this communal effort of all of these different viewers and lurkers and streamers. And to be a part of this community, like we're all doing our own thing, but it's like we're all in lifeboats that are on a cruise ship, right? It's like we're all in our own little ships, but we're all going in the same direction. And it's like, man, it's like, this is so cool. Like how do we end up in a place like this? And so based on what you've already told me today, it's obvious that you didn't know the possibilities of Twitch as a platform when you first started. You just knew people had a camera and a microphone and they played video games. And that's actually kind of the same way that I started. My brother had started a PC gaming community way back. And Twitch was a way that we could record our gameplay and show other people in real time. And I was like, that's the coolest fucking thing ever. I didn't know that, Summit and Forza and Dr. Disrespect, I didn't know that these people existed. I didn't know that people were making a living off of playing video games. Yeah. And in a way, I feel very, very blessed that the start of my Twitch career was no subs, no bits, no tips, no revenue streams whatsoever. It was just you turned on the camera, you played some games, you found some people to hang out with along the way, and you had a good time doing it. And like I said, very, very fortunate. And it's obvious that you started the same exact way. Do you feel that stunted your growth? Do you feel like that was beneficial for you?
Yeah, because I think like I could have approached it knowing everything and purposefully seeking out people just to grow my stream or things like that. And I guess that would have been one way to go about it, but I don't think I could have felt good about myself. Like when I started streaming, I didn't even watch a single stream before I streamed. Like I didn't even know what a stream looked like, which is probably ill-advised. Like I literally turned on my stream and said, okay, I'm just going to start talking. Like literally that's what I did. And even the first 2 months, I maybe watched a couple hours of streams total. Like
that's crazy to me.
Like I literally just didn't know anything that anybody else did on Twitch. And then I kind of knew what my friends did a little bit. Like I would pop in for a couple minutes, but like I literally don't think I ever even really watched a stream intentionally and fully until about 4 months into streaming, 5 months into streaming. So I just also didn't have time because I wanted to stream a lot. So I streamed every day. So I think for me, it was better because it made me, I'm so good at meeting people and forming relationships that sometimes, they die off really fast because I meet the person, we hit it off, and it's like, oh, over time we realize, there's not really like a connection there, Right. And so for me, it would have been really easy if I'd gone into it knowing what Twitch was to like start developing relationships with people that just died off really fast and didn't sustain for the long run, and I want something that's long-term sustainable that I can have, years from now and still do and love outside my regular career, because ultimately I majorly do it because I love it a lot. Like it makes me really happy to stream and share life with other people. So especially to learn about other people's lives, because there's just so many different paths that are different from mine. And I hear about mine I live mine every day. That's boring to me. I want to know about your life. Like I want to know what you do. And so I don't know. It's for me, I think it was better, honestly, just because I feel like I'm building something that's genuinely like a long-term, far-sighted thing. So
do you ever see your career and Twitch crossing paths, or would you rather keep them separate?
I would love for them to cross paths in many ways. I think they will. I mean, a lot of ways they already have. It's cool doing E3 and BlizzCon and stuff like that because I get like game codes and I get to meet developers of games that I love, and like people come from those and watch my stream, and that's kind of neat. And I know some of them watch when I play. But at the same end, also there's been talks on some other things of me getting involved with some entertainment related, like major and network related entertainment things that involve streamers and streaming and stuff like that. And that would be really, really cool to me. So I would be cool with that. I still would like Twitch I do fear sometimes letting it go to a certain degree because I want Twitch to stay an outlet that I love and not become an overly stressful, like where I'm only thinking about it from a business perspective. Like I obviously run it as a business, but I also really genuinely still love it and care about it. And I don't ever want to cross that line into it just becoming a business and hating it.
Right.
So that's my only fear about it crossing with my actual career is I don't really want that part to happen. So
I 100% understand that because that is exactly what happened to me with graphic design. I took 3 years of graphic design in college and ended up stopping because I got a taste of what it was going to be like to pursue art for work and to have other people influence what I did with my creativity. And it was the worst fucking feeling in the world. And I've never dropped out of college so fast. Well, I only dropped out of college, but once. But I just knew that as soon as I felt what it was going to be like to have other people dictate what I did with my creativity, that it was just a no-go. And then I got out and I really didn't know what I was going to do after the fact that I ended up getting into technology. But I have the same exact fear for Twitch. Going back to our conversation previously about how I don't think I could be a full-time content creator. It's also part, I don't know if I want to become a full-time content creator, just having my life rely on Twitch or YouTube or podcasts or whatever. It seems like I would be one of those people that would get swallowed whole by that. And I really don't think I could stay afloat.
Yeah, I like mine being a mix. Well, I need variety in general in life. Like, throwing back to when you said you look at my social media, you're like, I feel like some people like there's like this like posed, like sort of staged thing. And it's like, no, like mine really is just my everyday life. Like you never know. Like one day I'm like, hey, I'm in Iceland. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to go climb a mountain. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to go to Vietnam and eat some insects. I don't know, or like all this week I'm going to sit on my bed for 12 hours a day for a week straight and just play video games and sit in my own sweat. Like I'm just very honest on my social media, and that's important to me. I want people to know like my life is real. Like, real quick touch on this, but like this summer when my best friend died, like I was really open about that because I wanted people to know, like, guys, yeah, I have a great life, but like I go through major heartbreaking, difficult things just like all of you, like I don't ever want you to have this illusion of her life is so perfect and everything's rosy. Cause like anybody that knows me knows that behind the scenes, like my life is far from easy, but I still have a life that I'm very much grateful for, like I love what my life is about as a whole, even though I don't love all the parts of my life, So I try to be pretty balanced on social media and give people glimpses without, showing everything. Cause there's parts that need to be sacred and just for me, but like, let them know, like, this is happening in my life. And so that really meant something to me when you said that, because like all these things I post about aren't staged. Like I just am if somebody calls me up on a Tuesday and says, hey, do you want to do this insane thing that I just thought of? I'm just going to say, yeah. Like, it's very rare that I say no to any opportunity. Like, do I work? No. Okay, cool. And because my job is one that, when I work, it depends on the gig, but I work anywhere from 10 to 15 hours a day, sometimes more for weeks on end, but then I might have a month off. So it's kind of cool in that I do have this quote unquote free time, but mind you, I also just spent a month working double what somebody would work in a normal month.
Right.
And then I have all this free time that's time off that people look at her like, oh, she has time off, which I can't sit still. I'm always working on something. Like Jelly Monkey will be like, you need to take a day off, woman, and rest. I'll be like, I rested. She's like, what'd you do? Oh, I did 12 loads of laundry. I ran errands. I made phone calls. I answered all these emails. She's like, woman,
Right.
just like take a real day off. And I'm like, I fucking can't. So,
I spent all day in bed streaming on Twitch.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I laid in bed with my laptop and edited photos for a client for 8 hours or something, you know? So like, it's hard for me, but yeah, I don't know. So I do like, wow, I just lost my train of thought. Holy shit. Well, there was something to that. Anyways, I do try to be really genuine on my social media. Like that is what my life is legitimately like. Yes, I work though, because I know some people probably look at it and are like, does she ever work? And I'm like, no, I definitely work an insane amount of hours.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
On so many projects. But I do have the luxury of having big spans off, you know, where I can have a more flexible schedule and say, I'm going to pack all this shit in, you know, in a really short period of time. So,
and personally, I'm not somebody that looks at somebody else's social media and goes, oh my God, their life is so great. Like, why can't mine be this way? I see yours and I'm like, why am I not working when I'm sleeping?
Somebody joked the other day that I work when I sleep. Like, that's what they said. They were like, you are the busiest person I know. And I'm like, I don't think sometimes it's hard for me to even convey to close friends, like how busy I am. Cause they're like, they'll say that they're busy as well. And I understand that. And I never want to demean that like whatsoever. That's not my point, but it is that like the few precious moments I do get to like unplug my brain are so few and far between, you know, dealing with my personal life and dealing with work. And so it is just a lot. And I know that at the end of the day, I could change that and make my life less busy. If I really wanted to, I could put the kibosh on a lot of things. But this is my life. And this is my life. This is who I am. It's the pattern I've developed over time, and I've just kind of learned to embrace it. So many people try to fight that about themselves. Like, I need to be different. I need to do things this way. I need to do things that way. I'm looking at this going, I don't know. I've had a pretty story-filled life that for the most part, I'm super happy with. Like, there's still things I want. You know, I'd love to be in a meaningful relationship again, like us all, things like that. You know, I want to share it with somebody. But like, at the end of the day, like I've built this life over the last 15 years and it's pretty fucking cool. Like, I don't really want to change that or try to be like everybody else.
Right.
You know, and that means, but there are other things too. Like, I live with 2 roommates. I don't live in an apartment by myself in LA. Why? Because I want to take all that extra money I make and go travel the world and go on these adventures. That's why I get supposed, because I'm so happy to do whatever it takes to live within my means, to have extra left over at the end of the day to say, yeah, I want to experience this or that. And that means I live less lavishly in certain ways and more excitedly like in other ways. And that's really cool. But people have to understand that there's like a whole give and take for me. Like, I'm not some fancy pants Hollywood producer that's like, yeah, I live in like a sweet ass apartment and drive a Mercedes. Like, that's not the case at all. Like, I live with 2 fucking incredible roommates. I love my space. I'm very happy with it. I'm never home, so it doesn't really matter if I live with people to me. And it's great. But yeah, it is kind of funny, like the ideas that people get when you tell them like what you do or what they imagine your life to be like. And I'm like, I'm pretty non-traditional for most Hollywood types, I would say.
I haven't slept in like months just thinking about what you do every day.
Yeah, I haven't slept in months. So, you know, that's the story of my life. Like, I do sleep here and I actually do sleep. I really value sleep. It's important. I fight for it. But I will say that the waking hours of my life are very, 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 very full. And the days that aren't full are few and far between. And I still feel guilty on those lazy days. And I don't know why. Like, I shouldn't, but I do. Because I'm like, I could be making more. I could be working more hours. I could be out there searching for gigs on my off time and working more hours. But then it's like, no, I need that. My mom always reminds me, you need that time to recoup from all that insanity you just did. You just worked 320 hours in 1 month. You probably need to sleep for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Rest a little bit.
Like, yeah. I'm like, I do. So, yeah. I don't know.
One thing.
So that's kind of my life.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're good. No, I was just trailing. Go ahead.
One of the things that I want to touch on is something that I always want to remind people. So being somebody that hosts a podcast, I've reached out to a lot of people. A lot of people never respond or even like acknowledge the message. And some people are like super punctual with it. And then sometimes you ask at the wrong time. And the time that we had initially had the conversation was when your friend passed away. And what I want to remind people, for anybody in the future that does something like this, where it's on you to reach out to other people, if the connection is real and genuine, it will always come back around at some point. And I knew, I was like, I can't remember if I reached out and then it had happened, or I had reached out, but I wasn't aware that it had already happened. I'm like, oh, fuck, this is the worst time to have somebody on a podcast. But I was like, you know what? If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And, you know, when stuff like this will always make its way around. So just a reminder to anybody out there who has to, you know, reach out to people, you just have to let the chips fall where they do, and the right things will always come back around.
That's a good reminder for me, even as a freelancer. Like, I'm like, I needed to hear those because I have so many irons in the fire and I have to choose one of these jobs right now. And I'm kind of like, oh, if I choose this, I'm going to burn maybe this bridge or yada, yada, yada. And it's like, no, if they thought of me in that moment and thought we want her on our team later on down the road, like, yeah, they may find somebody else too, but you're the only you. And like later on down the road, there'll be a time when they'll call you again. Yep. So I kind of have to remember that too, just in general, because I get really nervous about that. And, you know, who would have known this guy I met 13 years ago as a PA would call me 13 years later as an Emmy-winning producer and say, hey, I want you on my team. And me be like, okay, like, I'm happy to do anything with you.
Yep. Like 2 years down the road, you could go to grab like a scoop of guacamole out of a bowl, and you and another person could reach for the guacamole at the same time. And you go, oh, shit, I'm sorry. Bill? And that's all it takes to fucking change the course of your future. That's all it takes.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, it's amazing to me. Like I said, I felt honored that he even called me. Like after I did my interview, he literally went on my Instagram on the photo I posted of all this and said, hopefully you can be a part of the team next year. I did not think when he said that he would be calling me to be like a producer on it, you know? And it meant the world to me that he was so loyal and like stayed true to his, you know, what he even proposed to me. Like he wasn't just flippantly saying that, he really meant it. And that just like, he's a person that I deeply respect because that's who he is, you know, and that's hard to find out here. So yeah, you just never know. Like it always, once you're on somebody's mind, it comes back around. And I don't think any of this would have happened had I not spent my last $200 to fly to LA to be interviewed for E3. And I like literally was like just out of my divorce. Like I have $200 in my bank account and I'm about to buy round trip airfare. This is the stupidest shit I've ever fucking done.
And look at you now.
And it's just like, well, long ways to go still, but it's steamrolled in a positive direction. And I'm happy for that. So.
Well,
Bill, every time.
Do you want to entertain chat for like a minute and a half? I put down 3 beers and now I have to pee.
Yeah. No, that's totally fine. I can entertain chat. I'll talk to them.
Don't forget us at the Emmys, okay?
Freaking Bill. Yes, freaking Bill, Amo. Oh, guys, it's okay to be single. I'm perpetually single, not single, so it happens. It's all good. I'm trying to go back through. It's so weird. It looks so different on Naaackers screen versus on like my phone right now. Are you not entertained? Actually, I was in competitive acting in high school, and we did that scene as a part of a comedy bit in one of our competition scenes, which is really funny to me. So we can still cuddle then at least, right? Oh my God, awkward. I've been single more than I've been in relationships. Oh, really? Hugs me. Thank you. Are you a Seinfeld fan? I am a huge Seinfeld and Larry David fan. I regularly quote Curb Your Enthusiasm. So no, I am not cuddling with any followers. Shit gets weird. But I will hug the shit out of all of you. So we're sharing now. Sharing what? I have not seen CYE. Curb Your Enthusiasm. What? I fucking knew it. How'd you know I liked Seinfeld?
Were you practicing your Emmy speech?
No, I was not. I don't listen, like that's just for me. I don't give a fuck about being famous or any level of sort of success. That's just like an attainable like mark set for myself. I will literally be the person to walk up that wins an Emmy hopefully the Academy is not watching me right now. Hey, Naaackers, I hope you aren't watching right now.
Don't forget about me after this podcast, okay?
VP of Naaackers. Hi, Danielle. No, but I like, I would be the sort of person to win and be like, hey, I won an Emmy, drop the trophy on purpose to let it break and freak everybody out and be like, peace, motherfuckers. like, cool, I did it. Like, I have no use for this statue now. Like, that would be me. I'm such an asshole. Like, it's like more of like a demarcation for me, and I don't give a fuck about everything associated with it. Like, I don't go to after parties for work. The only ones I've been to were because friends or like my ex-husband really, like the one year when I did the Grammys and I was dating my ex-husband, for Valentine's Day, I had to work. So my penance, this is so shitty. God, wow, I'm single. Okay, so for Valentine's
I wonder
Day,
why.
for Valentine's Day, I was like, hey, I have to work. I'm doing the Grammys, but I can get you a day pass and you can come and watch rehearsals and hang out with me at work all day. And then I'll get us tickets to the after party too. So he got to come and it was really cool. Like, I mean, he still tells me to this day, like, it was amazing to be sitting there watching some of these huge artists. And he's like front and center, 10 feet away from them, just watching them rehearse for the Grammys, you know? So it was a cool Valentine gift. But like, and then, you know, he went to like the after party with me and had a blast and thought that was really like fascinating and cool, getting to experience like, you know, that sort of thing. But like, that's the only time I go. Like, you know, I don't ever go to those parties if I'm not with like a friend or somebody who's never gotten to experience it and really wants to go.
Right.
Like, usually at the end of the show, I'm like, I'm tired. I'm going home. Like this year after daytime Emmys, my friends were like, let's go to the after party. And I was like, no. And so I went for 15 minutes. You know, ate some free food, and I was like, okay, I have to go home. I'm so freaking tired. Like, yeah, I was like, I ate free food. Now I just want to go home. So yeah, so I've just never really wanted to be the stereotypical Hollywood person, which is funny considering that my career has naturally happened in a way that puts me in line to be one of those people. And so it's kind of been a weird, like, how do I reconcile the, like, my very punk rock nature with the fact that my career is like this prestigious sort of looking, like everybody reaches for the stars situation. And I'm just like, fuck yeah. Yeah, I'm like not the most like, I don't know. I just don't fit into that world very well sometimes, I feel like, but
well, the only thing, now I have no authority over you whatsoever. However, the only thing that I require of you, if you ever decide to like get big within the esports, like Twitch industry, is please God, micromanage whoever the motherfuckers are that build the trophies for esports tournaments, because they all fucking suck and they all break upon contact. Can you do that for us, please?
Yes. That I can do. I actually know the exact trophy person that I would hire if I were to be in charge of that.
Like, how many clips I've fucking seen of people grabbing trophies and them falling apart as soon as they get above eye level. It drives me
I've
fucking
not
insane.
seen these. Oh my God.
There's
now
a lot
I'm
of
gonna
them.
look this up. Oh, shut up. I'm going to start watching this.
I can think of at least 5 that have probably happened in the past year or so.
Oh my God,
yeah.
That's hilarious.
And I'm talking like Counter-Strike, League of Legends. I'm not talking fucking like Polybridge competitions. I'm talking about AAA video game competitions, worldwide annual tournaments that have trophies that fall apart. And
Matweenie said she wants a trophy. I'm sorry, I just interrupted, but she already has one. His name is Naaackers.
Stop it.
I'm sorry, I can't resist.
Don't look at my cheeks.
If I didn't you immediately.
I need to turn down my webcam saturation.
Matweenie, you got your trophy.
Stop. You're
Everybody's pissed about that one. I had to do it because I knew chat was going to flip shit. This made me so happy. That was exactly what I was going for.
There was even a resub message with Naacker trophy. Oh my God.
I know, but like fucking Matweenie and Naaackers, you guys, I've seen them together. No, Naaackers is gonna cover his face because she's amazing. He's amazing. They are like, you know, when you look at two people and you're like, man, they fucking found their person. Like, that's how it feels when you look at Matweenie and Naaackers, and they're inspiring to me. I think I'm actually older, and they like inspire me relationship wise to not settle, because I'm like, no, my fucking weirdo's out there. These two people found each other. My weirdo's out there.
100%. Well, thank you very much. I don't know how hard I'm blushing right now. I can't tell. I don't know how to look at myself. Okay, I have one final question before I get to the chat's questions and Twitter's question. And this one's a little bit on a deeper scale. What is the most profound thing that you think you've learned about yourself from your career, not necessarily Twitch? What is like the biggest thing that you think you've learned about yourself, kind of working through Hollywood?
I think for me, one of the biggest things is just trusting myself and having confidence. It's really easy to meet somebody with a big name and really cower presence because you feel like you're not valuable or valued, or like you might lose your job or whatever. It's also really easy to get into a situation and think, oh my God, I should know everything. I don't know everything. I'm freaking out, you know? And over time, I've realized, no, you just have to step in and be confident, because that person next to you doesn't actually know everything.
Yep.
You know, and also just having confidence in your choices and your decisions and just making a choice and sticking to it. That's not something I was always good at. And I get choice fatigue, as a coworker said this week. Like, you get choice fatigue. I see you freaking out over those cookies that we got catered for lunch. Like, you can't decide whether you want oatmeal raisin chocolate or chocolate chip.
Oh,
and
no.
I'm stressed for you. Like, they were literally stressed for me the way I was eyeing it. And so it made me realize how much I've worked on, but also need to continue to work on just like my confidence. Like, it's a huge, it can be a confidence breaker because you get a lot of disappointing news and jobs fall through and opportunities don't pan out that you get really hopeful about. But I think that is one facet as far as on a personal thing. But then on a whole other level, it's just having gratitude. Like, I think it changed my life, and having gratitude and being a person that is grateful through the shit and through the good, and understanding that it all adds up for a reason is really important. And if you talked to Rhiannon 10 years ago, she would have been sitting on the set of an indie film with Jane Seymour, crying in her car because she just got a parking ticket for $200 and only made $50 for the day on that film.
$200?
$200 parking ticket, and then, or 150, something asinine like that. And I made $50 that day as a PA because it was a super low budget indie film. So like sitting there crying in that moment, it just felt like the end of the world. And I remember crying on the phone with my mom. I'm sitting in my shitty beat up Civic because a truck rear-ended me, and a palm tree fell on my car. I have pictures on the internet, like a palm tree fell on my car. It was like the worst fucking week. And then I get a parking ticket, and I only made $50 that day. And I'm like, I just want to die right now, Mom. Like, this sucks. So like looking back in hindsight, recognizing that was a horrible day, but that moment still added to like my later wisdom and wheelhouse that I would need in the future. So it is really important to be grateful, even for some of the shitty stuff, you know, like it matters later on. So
what do you say to yourself to level you, like to get you back to, is being gracious the word for having gratitude? Like, what are the other versions of gratitude that you can use in a sentence? Because I always say, yeah, I want to be gratitude. Like, do you say be gracious?
I don't know. That's a great question. I've never thought about that, honestly.
Even though it's like gracious and gratitude are spelled with C's and T. Grateful. Maybe it doesn't.
I just say grateful.
Okay. That was a really dumb question now that I'm thinking about it, but we're just going to go ahead and we're going to move past that.
But so you go.
Okay. What do you tell yourself, like when you're in those moments of doubt? What are you saying to like bring you back to, okay, I need to recenter myself?
So there's two things. I journal a lot. I journal a whole lot. You look back through my life, I have journals back to when I was like 11, 12 years old. My mom started that in me. She said, this is really important, not so you can dwell on the past, but so you can look back and see like how much things have changed and how much you could trust yourself in certain situations or couldn't, and like understand yourself better. So sometimes I'll go back and look at a journal see where I was in the past and like what kind of conversations I was having with myself back then.
Whoa,
And how they
okay.
compare to now. The other thing I do is I'm really fortunate. My mother is the most strong, amazing, incredible human being on the face of the planet. And she is usually the first person I call. If she doesn't answer, I literally call Jelly Monkey. She's just like, she's another, she has the same similar sort of calm wisdom that my mom does and is willing to like speak to reality on things and also be logical. And her husband also sits in the background and advises her on that as well when it comes to talking to me. So they're kind of a great team. But it's usually that, like if I get bad news and I have a day where I melt down, because it happens, you know, and I usually call my mom or I call Jelly and I'm like, speak reality to me. I'm like, that's literally what I'll usually say. Like, I need to hear some reality and I need somebody that isn't in my head to say this to me right now. And sometimes it's harsh. Sometimes it's like, get over it. You can't control this. Like, you got to let go. You're making me crazy and you're going to make yourself crazy. You know, Rhiannon, I can't handle this today. Like, you know, like that's, you know, what it is. But it's usually just having a voice that is not my own to call upon that I know is honest and not going to kiss my ass at the end of the day. And I do that a lot. I'm willing to be a hot mess on the phone with someone and be real for the sake of getting back a genuine and necessary redirection, so to speak.
It's very important to have people like that in your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that is all I have for you. And now it's time for chat to grill you. So we're going to get into the Q&A. How are you on time?
I'm great. Can I use the ladies' room real fast?
Yes, you can.
Can you entertain your stream for a little while?
I don't know if I'm okay with this responsibility.
Okay, I'll be right back in
right.
1 minute.
Go for it. Wait, can she still hear us? I'm not comfortable with this. Don't you take a shit in there, Rhiannon. What a fantastic guest, chat. You know what I'm saying? God damn. All right, here's the question I have for you right now. If you are down with Crocs, as in the sandals, the rubbers that you put on your feet, I want you to put a 1 in chat. If you say fuck Crocs, they're disgusting, put a 0 in chat. I need to get a feel for how you guys feel about Crocs, because I obviously find Crocs absolutely fantastic. They're amazing. You guys are disappointing me. Oh my God, my heart. Oh, I do wear them when I mow the lawn. And here's the greatest part about all of that. I put socks on, and then I put my feet in the Crocs, and then I mow the lawn. It's like putting your foot in the pool when you still have your socks on. You know, it's disgusting. I'm telling you, they are so goddamn practical and comfortable. Is she back already? Did you pee vomit out of your mouth? Because that was fast.
No, I'm really fast at peeing and washing my hands.
So it's...
Yes, I did. Oh, are you kidding me? I was studying to be a physician. I always wash my hands.
Hey, you don't have to wash your hands when you pee on your hands. Instantly sanitized. Right?
Wait, what are we talking about? Feet? Are we talking about Crocs?
Yeah, I asked chat how they felt about Crocs, the sandals, and
Gotcha.
I was disappointed. So your community can get the fuck out of here.
I mean, I have issues with Crocs. I'm sorry, but it's...
Oh, I guess that's a question I should ask when I start the conversation of, do you want to be on the podcast or not?
She washes her hands while peeing. I do. No, I don't.
All right. So Vans, by the way, the Q&A is starting now. Vans is my editor, and I always fuck up of showing him when the Q&A starts. I always make his job as difficult as possible. I'm sorry,
You could be
Vans.
like we do on my podcast, and we go pew, 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 pew. But like our producer hates it when we do the pews and gets really pissed off because we do the same thing. We live stream and then an edited version goes up.
Okay.
And we do that to piss him off every time. He hates it so much. Pew, pew, pew,
Pew, pew, pew. Nothing but plosives and mic peeking.
Oh, he gets so mad. I love it.
Oh, man. Or that could just be a wonderful intro to the podcast or to the Q&A of you talking about how you peed on your hands so you didn't have to wash them and then came back?
Yep, I washed them in my own piss. It's fun, guys. The wind's starting to change. Better drink my own piss. No, that's me imitating Bear Grylls.
It's sterile and I like the taste.
Yeah. No. Real fast, I gotta show this because it'll make you laugh.
Yeah.
But I lived in New Zealand, and when I lived in New Zealand, I bought my ex-husband, who was then my boyfriend, like a kayaking day on the harbor. And so we went to go kayak in the harbor in Wellington, and this guy showed up to the kayaking place wearing a helmet with a GoPro on it. And we're like, bro, we're just kayaking in the harbor. Like, shit is not about to get real. But he had on this GoPro, and my ex-husband just looks up and goes, wind's starting to change. Better start drinking my own piss. And I'm just like, oh my God. So that's been like my joke ever since. When shit's about to get extreme, I say that. That's the backstory to it, though.
Beep, beep. Beep, 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 beep. Shit's about to get real.
Yeah, he was literally just kayaking in the harbor with ships in the background, like not like whitewater rafting.
These rapids, they've been known to get quite violent.
A barge goes by. Honk, honk.
Whoa! These waves. All right.
Sorry.
All good. First question came from Twitter. Does your mouth hurt from laughing?
Yes, it does.
Mine does too.
It's so good.
First question came from Sh55. She actually has two questions that come from Twitter. Hi, Rhi. Why is the correct way to pronounce GIF with a soft G?
Okay, so this is why it's not Sh55. I love you, by the way. She's amazing. She's actually my twin. So it's weird. Like, she found me on stream and started, I guess, having like a friend crush on me and was like, oh my God, this girl is exactly like me. I love her. I had no clue who she was, literally, until this week. And then I watched her stream and I go, holy fuck, that's me on camera. Like, it's so weird. She's amazing. So I mean that in a loving way. She's so awesome. But so it's pronounced
Go ahead.
GIF.
Sorry, go.
It's pronounced GIF because the G stands for graphics, which is G. So GIF. The guy said that it's GIF because he's dumb and doesn't understand like what he actually spelled out in his own like the creator understand that it stands for graphics. I'm sorry, dude, you're fucking wrong about your own thing, and that sucks real bad, but I've been wrong about my own thing too, so just own it.
That rebuttal used to get me so mad. But now I've just learned to just not argue it because I used to be a GIFer and not a GIFer. But I've just realized that it's one of those things. It's not a battle worth fighting. And some people get really, really fucking angry when you try and argue the opposing. So I've just learned.
Jif is peanut butter. Jif is peanut butter or a cleaning spray in New Zealand, for those that don't know. But look at X. X has a good point because it's spelled GIF and gift isn't pronounced gift.
There is actually a lot of examples like that. But the only difference is that the G in GIF is an acronym to where all of these other examples that people have, they're words. So there isn't an acronym that is supposed to have a soft G but has a hard G or the opposite. So it's very unique, but I used to be on the side of the person who invented it should get to say how it's pronounced, but apparently that's not good enough.
Disappointed.
I'm sorry.
I mean, also let's talk about phonetics. The G phoneme category, like G, J. G is the primary sound of G too. So I'm just going to throw that out there and leave it at that. But you know,
what proof do you have of that?
Did you not have to learn like all of the sounds and phonics in school? Like that you learned them all in order and like.
Oh no, your mic cut out completely that time.
Oh, of course it did. How convenient.
Oh, whoops. And I didn't mute you. I swear to God, it cut out like that. But remember when I said I graduated with a 1.8? Okay. I didn't pay attention to that kind of stuff.
I did pay attention, but I still which makes it really fucking sad, actually. Let's not visit that.
All right. Well, we can move on from that one.
You know what? I still got to speak at my graduation. So jokes on my school. I still gave a speech at graduation, even though I had a 1.8 GPA. Apparently, I was still very charismatic.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I got a speech and everything before the valedictorians. I was the opening speech of my graduation, and I barely graduated. I was just, I don't know. I was the idiot that everybody loved.
Well, I can't argue with that.
Yeah, right?
The only reason that I know who Sh55 is because I was watching She Snaps a couple days ago, and she actually rated Sh55. So I was like, oh shit, why do I recognize this name? And I was like, oh, I was just watching her stream about maybe like a week or so ago. I think she was playing Borderlands 3.
Yeah, she's a Borderlands fan. We play a lot of the same games, actually. She trolled me for weeks before she ever rated me. And she hid her badge. And so, like, I didn't know she was partnered. I didn't know anything about this fucking... I thought she was a dude. And she rated me then. And I, everything exploded in my channel. Like, there were, 700 viewers. And I'm getting, follow after follow. Like, I got 250 follows in one stream. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I was dying. She was like, break her chat. She was like, I've been waiting weeks to do this. And I was just like, oh my God. And I still had no clue who she was. And then I went to her channel and I was like, I started watching her and I was like, holy shit, we're so like, I fucking love you. Like, I want to be friends with you. Like, I actually want to be your friend. And no, I mean, I'm so grateful. Like, this is why I love Twitch, because shit like this happens. She was like, I found your channel because it said you're weird and I'm weird. And she was like, oh my God, I'm weird too. And then she started watching and she's like, we're weird in the same way. But I didn't pick up on it. Like, I knew she was weird and I liked her and she kept talking, but I thought it was just some random dude. And then she rated me and was like, bah, my plan worked. I can't believe you didn't discover me. And it was just fucking hilarious. It's great. I'm really stoked on the new friendship for sure.
That's a great origin story.
Right?
Yeah.
Like she might become, provided we stay friends, which I hope we do. All the love to you, 50. But she might be probably become one of my favorite origin stories of any friendship, because it was just so funny. Like, she would literally come in and troll me and I had no fucking clue who this person was. I don't know who anybody is.
Right. Because they're just a name in chat at that point.
Yeah. And she hid all of her badges and it turns out she did that on purpose because she really wanted to break my channel and break me and surprise me in a cool way. Okay. She was like, I like this girl. I want to support her and overwhelm her. And that was just, it's kind of awesome, honestly.
That's definitely awesome.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? That's really cool of you. And it just made me like her even more than I already do, because she's obviously very chill and down to earth and just about being a rad, chill, awesome person. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, part 2 of her question is, and you kind of already answered this, also hi. How did you get into gaming? What are your favorite games? How much has I almost said Tina Turner, Tiny Tina influenced your life?
So I kind of mentioned how I got into gaming. My best friend, Jamie, her dad was a big gamer, got me into Missile Command, fell in love with gaming from Missile Command and Frogger onward. Then my best friend instilled that even more. I was a tomboy. He kept me involved in gaming. And then Tiny Tina. Okay. So Borderlands has probably become my favorite game series. I always thought it was Fallout, but Borderlands became really important to me. Borderlands came important to me. I loved the main campaign of Borderlands 2. It was the first one I played, as far as the Borderlands games goes. But then I played the Tiny Tina DLC. And I'm a person that, without going into detail on your podcast, but a lot of my chat and my stream know, I've had a pretty tough life. I've had to deal with some pretty big tragedies and some really hard stuff. And that's not to elicit any sort of pity. It's just I've seen some shit. And so when I played the Tiny Tina DLC, I realized that it wasn't just a spoof on Dungeons and Dragons, but that it was actually this huge commentary on grief and loss and accepting death and grief and how you process that as an individual. And it actually is. Now I challenge you to go replay Bunkers and Badasses and disprove me. But the entire thing is literally about the different stages of grief, denial, acceptance, anger, all these different things, and how you work through that, and how she created a world so that she could get through the grief and process it. Because at the end, everybody's like, Tina, he's not coming back. And she finally just breaks down and goes, I know, but it's my story. because it's supposed to be about her being able to process that grief and work through it the way that she needs to.
So
yeah,
Matt Weenie has always, I mean, since we've started dating, Borderlands is one of the games that we've played the most together. She has always spoken so highly of that DLC, and we haven't gotten to it yet. We'll probably try and do it before we embark on our Borderlands 3 journey. But she has always said how much she has loved that DLC, and I've always looked forward to it.
Yeah, so it's ultimately about her processing. If you've played Borderlands 2, spoiler alert, real fast. Roland gets killed, and Roland was Tina's best friend and like the person that mentored her growing up. Early in my life, I lost somebody that was in my family that mentored me, that brought me up in a really tragic way. And so for me, when I got to the ending of that story and she says that, like, I just like burst into tears on the couch. And I was like, holy shit, this is so much deeper, so much more meaningful. I love Tiny Tina. Like, I love her now that I understand her madness and where she came from and why she's unapologetically spastic. Like, I love all of these things about her, and I feel like I can really level with her. Fast forward to this year at E3, I got to produce the Borderlands 3 segment. So I got to work directly with Gearbox and the creative directors of Borderlands. And
how awesome was that?
It was amazing that the executive producers gave me that segment because they know I love Borderlands so much. But B, it was incredible because when I talked to the creative directors and stuff, and I expressed to them why I love Borderlands for the reasons I just told you, and they said, this is what it's about, and this is what makes us happy to do our job. And like, that meant so much to me. Like, we just really hit it off, and it was such a true, genuine camaraderie. Like, they really give a fuck about that stuff. And it made the game mean even more to me. It made Tiny Tina mean even more. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's why I love Tiny Tina, because I feel like it made me realize, like, no, how I deal with this is how I deal with it. And it is my story. And early on as a teenager, like when I was going through some hard life stuff, I remember I grew up in the South. It was fairly judgmental. And a lot of other parents and stuff would judge my mom, be like, your daughter's too rambunctious, or she does this, or she does that. And like, what they didn't see behind the scenes was like the dark, hard, difficult stuff that was going on that I was processing.
Right.
And that's why I was who I was. And so I just realized when I played that DLC, like, no, this is my fucking story. Like, I'm going to own that. I don't want to make it be like anybody else's. I don't want to change it. I mean, I want to operate to the best of my abilities and become a better person, but I'm not going to apologize for taking on life the way I best know how. As long as I'm still being humble and seeking out others to help guide me and change me for the better. Like, no, I'm not going to apologize. Like, this is what I know. This is how I know to get through it. So that's a big, deep one for me. And it doesn't seem so deep, but I'm getting a Borderlands tattoo to celebrate this BlizzCon booking. So I'm like really excited about it because I've been wanting a Tiny Tina related thing for a long time. So
sounds like Swifty knew what she was getting into when she asked that question.
She might have. I haven't even told her any of that. So I don't know.
Wait, really?
I'm just curious. No, Swifty doesn't know that at all.
No shit. You're welcome, Swifty.
So Swifty can hear this now and she'll either love me or hate me. I don't know. But I hope she wants to be friends after the podcast because I really like her. She's so fucking weird. She's so fucking awesomely weird. My new favorite weird friend. Oh.
Next question is
you fuck off. You and Matweenie are still there. I don't play favorites. I got a posse of awesome weird friends like this.
I'll be a part of that posse.
Yeah, I want us to all be a posse. We're equals. We're in this together.
I haven't heard the word posse in fucking like years, like so long.
I say really outdated shit a lot. I still say mom.com.
Okay.
I'm going to bring back tubular and bodacious.
Tubular. Yeah. I think, did you ever play I'm guessing you have Super Mario World for Super Nintendo.
Yes.
So the Star World that has all of those super interesting names.
A Tubular World.
Tubular World. Yeah.
Yeah. I literally just started playing it again because Genso Chicken gifted me a Switch. Fucking Genso. He gifted me a Switch Lite for when I travel for work. And so I've been replaying Super Mario World recently. I just unlocked Star World again.
You saw my tattoo at TwitchCon, right?
No, I love Super Mario World, though. It's one of my favorite games of all. It's Castlevania 4 and
I'm going to stand up here, but...
Oh, God. Don't break yourself.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. That Yoshi. Oh,
That is my Super Mario World and Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island tribute tattoo. Because Super Mario World is one of my absolute favorite games of all time.
Yeah, it's in my top 5 easily.
Yep.
I would have to say Power Rangers on Super Nintendo, which I loved. Super Mario World, Castlevania 4, Aliens. Those are like my top 4. Aliens on Super Nintendo was fucking blast. Those are probably my top 4, though. The 5th is a little tricky because I had some really good contenders for 5th place, but yeah.
And you had the Super Nintendo for decades, so you had lots of time to explore different.
I've played every shitty title that there is on Super aficionados of like retro gaming are like, what the fuck, you played that game? I was like, I own that game. Like, I bought it for $10 at a garage sale.
And now I'm getting tattooed.
The 1992 Winter Olympics was actually a game that you could get, or either 1988 or 1992 Winter Olympics, and you could do like the decathlon, or like the one where you like, wait, what's the one where you like ski and shoot and everything? Ski,
shoot.
No, you like ski, you cross country ski, and then you shoot targets. I don't know, but like you could do like all of the winter events in the Olympics you could play on Super Nintendo. I fucking played that game. And like I feel like I've played every Super Nintendo game.
Biathlon? Does that sound?
Biathlon. That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you ski and you shoot. I don't know who thought of that idea. That seems really dangerous to ski with a gun. But
it really does. Right.
America.
Yeah. All right. The last question that we got from Twitter was from Exaltair, and I wasn't sure if this was an inside joke or not. Which do you prefer more, chicken or meat pie shakes?
So that is not actually an inside joke, but it is a thing intrinsic to my community on Twitch. I drink meat shakes because I'm stupid, and because I'll say things like, hey, if I got this many bits in the next few minutes, like I would totally drink a chicken shake. Why not? Or like, hey, yeah, I would totally drink a meat shake if I got double the biddies, because the last one was so fucking terrible and there's no way I'll get double the biddies. And then 7 minutes later, I'm like, I'm drinking a fucking meat shake. So I drank a chicken shake. It was chicken, avocado, and spinach, and I had to add apple juice to make it drinkable. So I drank that. I blended it in a blender, and then I drank a shepherd's pie shake. I dumped a shepherd's pie into a blender with some boiling water and drink it. And everybody's like, oh, it should just taste like blended up soup. No, the texture and the flavor combination is where it ends, and it's not good. So the chicken shake was worse. It was cold and it was chicken and avocado. So I wanted to die the whole time. And it was the chicken shake one I accidentally made like 40 ounces. So I drank 40 ounces of chicken shake.
Oh my God. That is
the meat pie shake. I wisened up and I drank like 8 to 10 ounces. It was like a normal serving, but yeah, it was real dumb of me.
I'm salivating, but I think it's because I'm going to throw up.
No, it was not. Everybody's like, oh, it shouldn't be that bad. I'm like, okay,
right. Oh my God.
And I've eaten some gross shit. I travel all over the world. I make it a point everywhere I go to eat everything that's taboo or strange, because I want to see if there was possibly a motivation I'm not considering for eating this sort of thing, you know?
Right.
So I always do that. And still, like, I've eaten a tarantula, I've eaten horse, I've eaten silkworms, you know, I've eaten like all sorts of crazy shit. Fermented shark, which is called harcarl, which Gordon Ramsay said was the worst thing he ever tasted in his life. I think he's a fucking baby. It doesn't taste that bad.
Shots!
Shots fired, Gordon Ramsay. No. But yeah, like I do that. And the chicken shake was easily one of the worst things I've ever had to try to like finish. Like I was just like, this is fucking gross. And apparently bodybuilders do it. That would make sense. Like, that protein. Yeah, they're like, oh, I can't chew that much protein in a day. I'm like, bro, just chew your fucking protein. You're stupid.
Get with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I did it. So that's not it. That's just intrinsic to my community. But yeah.
Okay.
So what other questions you got for me?
Oh, so I'm going to skip this one because it was from My Name is Hefe, and his question was, what led you to Twitch? And I feel like in the interest of time, we spent a lot of time on that earlier in the podcast.
Yeah,
so go back in time, Hefe.
I love you, Hefe.
This one is from Ammo, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering these names. Speaking of trust, ask Rhi when that interview with the Boston Globe is going to get posted.
Never. Fuck that guy. I don't even remember his name now. But this guy came in my chat on New Year's Eve last year. I had like a crazy stream, an insane amount of viewers. I had some adult beverages, and this guy came in and said he was from the Boston Globe and started interviewing me in the middle of stream, and it was hilarious. It played out so freaking hilarious with us trolling him and shutting him down.
Okay.
Because I knew what was up. Like, I knew he was a fake from the beginning. I played along, but like as soon as I picked up this is totally not real, I was just like messing with him nonstop. So it was a pretty funny stream. I kind of wish I had saved the VOD.
Oh, no.
And I really regret it. Yeah, it was pretty hilarious. But he claimed he was from the Boston Globe.
Interesting.
Yeah. Trolls are fucking weird, man.
They're intriguing, but yes, very, very weird and so easy to pick out.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, next question from Hellhound. What is innuendo out undo?
Okay. So on my stream one night, I intoxicated, who knows? But I had a couple beverages. And somebody made an innuendo, and I'm all about, like, my stream is very adult. There are a lot of out of bounds questions and things that happen, and we just kind of laugh it off and move on. So I made a new rule that we could have. I had a wand from this summer. I got a wand from Harry Potter World. And for some reason, the wand was on my desk, and I just grabbed it and I said, guys, this is the circle of what's appropriate. And here are innuendos, and out here are out-you-windows. Innuendos are okay. Out-you-windows are no-K. So innuendos, out-you-windows, okay, no-K. And now it's just like, it's become a thing on my stream because people hate it so much. Like, why the fuck do you have a wand? Why are you talking to us like this? And I just laugh. So anytime anybody says anything inappropriate, that's kind of what happens. But
are you an innie or outie?
An out-you-window is basically when somebody says what an innuendo applies. Like, they just come out and say it. And I'm like, that's an out-you-window.
Got it.
But then it became a whole joke like, ooh, I'm looking innuendos. Ooh, I'm looking out-you-windows at you. Like, it became like this whole... It's hilarious.
You've developed so many, like, inside things since you started streaming.
That's what's funny to me. I really have. Like, we have so much hilarious shit like that in my stream that I'm sure outsiders come in and they're like, what the fuck is that? Like, my chicken shake emote, my stupid drink emote.
Yeah,
like,
chicken shakes.
All of those are, yeah, the chicken shake emote is one. The stupid drink is because a troll came in and said, your drink is stupid. And I was like, drinking water out of a Twitch cup, and I was just like, and I like lost it. Like, I was crying laughing. I was like, my drink's so fucking stupid, you guys. So now that's our troll emote. Like, when a troll comes in, we're just like, your drink is stupid. Your drink
sucks.
Yeah.
You just reminded me of a time on any of the days that we met. Was I wearing any of my pink or blue all over print t-shirts where it's just like, okay. So
I love them. I want one so bad.
Designed by human / Captain Sugar Spice, by the way.
Okay, perfect.
I was wearing my pink version of that shirt one day, and somebody came in and accused me of pushing my effeminate views and morals onto people in chat because I was wearing feminine clothing. That was the most fucked up conversation I've ever had with somebody in chat. Like, because I was choosing to wear pink and this like feminine version of a shirt, that I was oppressing my community with my views and my ways on everybody else. Yeah, we joke about that every once in a while, but that just made me think, like, when somebody comes in and says, your fucking drink sucks, man. Like, it reminds me of stupid things people have said in chat.
I had somebody come in during an IRL chat once and be like, streams. I had somebody come in once and they were like, you're really not my thing and you're not a very good streamer, but whatever, to each their own. And I just laughed because I don't like trolls. Literally, they could say anything and I don't get up. Like, they just don't upset me. Maybe they should. They just don't get to me. And so I just started laughing and I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's fine if you don't like me. Like, cool. Like, I appreciate your feedback. I'm going to keep doing my thing. And then he responds, well, shit, I guess I'm a follower now. That just really made me like you, that you responded like that. And I don't like trolls. I don't even understand trolls. Like, even if they make me say something bad or inappropriate because I read chat, like my community knows like that's not who I am. So they
Right.
immediately just say, oh, she's fucking Ron Burgundy. She reads everything in chat. Like, who cares, you know? And then we move on. Like, trolls just don't upset me. Like, they come in, they'll be like, are you a mom? How many kids do you have? Like, they say so much weird shit to me.
That
and
is
I
weird.
just like, I get the weirdest DMs and like even the creepy ones. I'm just like, dude, you're such a loser. You're reported. Bye. Like,
See ya. Yeah,
like, yeah.
Somebody in chat just reminded me that somebody came in and was like, "Oh, nice hat, dude. You wear hats all the time because you think you're fucking cool." Like, what the I hide my insecure bald head. What the fuck do you know?
Right.
Weird.
Oh my god.
Trolls.
So funny.
Next question from Ranch Depressing.
I love her name so much. My name on Outer Worlds is Ranch because of her.
That is a fucking great name. She asks, "Are you living the life you wanted as a kid?"
I am. Well, when I was a kid, I don't really know that I knew what I wanted as far as what a life would look like. I had a pretty weird life as a kid. Like, my mom is an artist, my dad's a doctor. My dad, even though he's a doctor, like, they were pretty, certain parts of their life fit that stereotype, but other parts they were pretty bohemian about. And I would say my dad is still pretty bohemian and not run of the mill, what you would expect out of a physician. So I had trouble kind of visualizing like what a life would look like for me. Because mine has always been weird. Like, the Rhi you see today is literally like, my mom was a photographer, documented my entire childhood. You look back through photos, it's like, wow, like I was who I was from a very young age, and my life was what it is from a very young age. So that's hard to say, but what I can say is when I got married, I married a great man. He was awesome. I can't say anything bad about the type of human being he was. I chose wisely in that department. We weren't a good match, but I was very much living a life that wasn't the life I wanted. I lived like kind of your stereotypical married yuppie sort of life. And it was a great life. It was a comfortable life, but it was not the life I wanted. And I constantly, towards the end of the marriage kept saying, I want my old life back in LA. Like, I want that life, even though I lived with roommates and like worked a lot of hours, like I was really happy with my life. And I realized within the last month that I have that life again, and it's exactly what I want. So that's really cool. So in that regard, like, yeah, like I would love to be making a little bit more money. Love to be, working on projects that I'm more passionate about rather than reality stuff or award shows. That's what we all want. So that work out here. So like those things could be better, but overall I would say yes, like the structure of my life, the financial comfort, all of the different things are starting to get to where I've really always wanted and dreamed of them being. And that's really cool.
Awesome. This is very fulfilling to hear.
Yeah. It's cool. Like, I'm not quite, I have that internal sense of I haven't quite arrived yet, but a comfort of knowing like I'm on the path and I'm pretty content right now.
That's half the battle right there, in my opinion.
Yeah. Right. Like for me, and this is legitimate because I know a lot of people struggle with this and think like, oh, she's pretty, she's successful, everything must be perfect. Like, I would love to share my life with somebody. Like I date a lot. Like, I'm not necessarily like, I don't go into a lot of detail about my personal life, but like I date, I go out. I'm not necessarily like lonely or anything, but like I would love like another long-term meaningful relationship to share this cool shit with. I want to come home and be like, fuck yeah, another victory. Like, and I share it with all my friends, and that's awesome. And I'm not demeaning anybody, any of you out there that are watching this. Like, I get great joy from like calling Jelly Monkey and being like, fuck, guess what just happened? I'm so excited. She's usually one of the first people I call. And so like, that's also cool. But like, there's other parts like that like I do really want, like I want that feeling again. But I also know that those things come on their own time, like right. When everything's the best. So not necessarily like perfect timing, but they come on their own time when they need to. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next question from that Boz guy. You can only bring one lens with you to a photo shoot. Which one would you bring?
50 millimeter 1.8. Well, okay. Actually, no, I'd probably still bring an 50-50. I have a 1.4 and I actually like the 1.8 better. If I had any budget, it would be an 85 1.2, but those are, $2,000. So
we have right here a Canon 50 millimeter 1.8. This is an older.
Is that the Nifty 50? I love the old. I still have my old Nifty 50. I have a 1.4. I like the 1.8 a ton. Sean knows, Mictlan in chat, he knows, he's a photographer. Actually, he was around when I first started shooting seriously, and I used to learn a lot of things from him, and vice versa. We all used to throw ideas back around to each other, and he knows I shot with my Nifty 50. The Nifty 50 you have, I shot with the first 5 years that I shot with an SLR.
Whoa.
And I would get comments back, people being like, what L lens did you shoot with? And I'm like, I literally used my $89 50 for this shoot.
Yep.
So,
there's a reason why it's nifty.
Good lighting and a Nifty 50. So I tell everybody that too when they want to be a photographer. They'll send me stuff. They're like, I need this camera and this lens. I'm like, no. You will appreciate yourself more if you start with a Nifty 50 and a good camera body. Get a good one. You don't need a 1D, in the Canon world, because I shoot Canon. You don't need a 1D. You don't necessarily need to get the lowest Rebel, but get like a decent body, get a Nifty 50, shoot with that for a few years, get accustomed to it, and you will really appreciate it later. And that's what I did for myself, and it's so much better. Like now I work with everything else I have, under hard constraints a lot easier because that's all I had for. That's all I could afford. So
my dad has been a photographer. Oh, your mic was cutting out. I didn't realize you were still talking.
No, I just said expensive is not always better. People think that in gear, and it is
same
true
for streaming.
Cases, but yep. Some cases that's true. Some it's not at all. My panel light I think was $32 off Amazon, and I wish I had a few more features, but overall for right now, for my budget, it works amazing and I love it. Like,
my light panels were $32 as well. So, my dad has been a photographer for 20 plus years. He shot for the big three automotive industry here in Detroit for a super long time. Yeah. And he gave me that lens when I got into photography. I shot with a Rebel T2i for probably 4 years, and I shot a lot of shows. The two lenses that I brought with me everywhere were the Nifty 50 and then a Sigma 8mm fisheye lens, which is like one of my favorite things to shoot with. Did you see the new camera that I got recently?
No, I didn't. You have to show.
I nutted for this real hard. So I got a Sony a6400 with a Sigma 16mm 1.4 1.4, and this thing is fucking awesome. So
okay, I'm gonna have to hit you up about that after stream because I've been looking at mirrorless. I've been resistant because I shoot with the 5D series. Like that's my bread and butter.
Okay,
5D. But I travel so much. I'm like, I want to get a mirrorless, and I'm torn. But also, that grip looked really beautiful. Yeah. Is that a wood grip?
Yes. So
let me see that again. Sorry.
There's this company called Small Rig where they make these metal frames that attach to the camera. So all of those holes that you see are all quarter 20 threaded mounting points.
Oh, wow, I like that.
And then this wooden grip is an additional piece that screws into the frame of the Small Rig.
Wow.
Yeah. So fucking awesome. So before today, I would have said the Nifty 50 is my go-to lens, but ever since I've only had that lens for 2 days, just a little bit of shooting that I have done for the past couple days, I'm like, oh my God, this lens is fucking awesome, and I can't wait to actually put it to use.
Well, now that I shoot full frame, the 85 1.8 is my baby. I love the color. It's basically like shooting with a 50 on a cropped sensor. So I shot with a 40D for like my first 4 or 5 years with an SLR. I had a Canon 40D body before I switched over to the 5D realm. And I love the 5Ds. I've shot with 1Ds. I like them a lot, but I don't really see like the cost to value ratio between the 1D and the 5D. I'm like, why would I spend $7 more grand on a 1D or $4 more grand on a 1D versus a 5D, which is what the disparity was at the time. And it's like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I love the 5Ds. So yeah, that's what I use. But yeah, I knew Sean, I had to ask you to re-show the frame on your camera because I knew Mictlan in chat would love that. Like this is also his wheelhouse. I've known him for like 14 years. So
holy shit. Okay. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. We go way back in the internet world.
Again, talking about how relationships came to fruition. I love hearing about it.
Yeah.
All right, next question. We have about 4 more from Myth. I always fuck up his name. I'm just calling you Myth. How long was your craziest marathon stream?
Oh God. I really haven't done anything. I'm not crazy. I've never I was 4 hour once and then I ended up having knees in January, so I had to cancel it because I couldn't stream that long. So probably only 15 hours, honestly. So
That's a
not
good long time.
I mean, it's still long, but not insane. Like so many other streamers do way more. So yeah, probably about 15 hours. And by the end of it, I was starving. I had ordered food. The food never got delivered. So everybody was cracking up in chat. I was starving and I was probably having wine and just in a really like, who knows? That was back. I haven't done a stream that long since. I mean, I haven't even done a 12-hour stream in over a year now.
Okay.
Like, I just don't do that. Like, I just don't see the value in wearing myself out like that. And it's like, even when you do those, like, I kind of get it, but I feel like I don't fully understand the point of it, I guess. Like, I just don't want to exhaust myself that much.
I'm glad you say that because there is no point and it's bad for you and it's just don't it's great to look back at those moments.
I have friends that do them a lot and that's awesome because it's hard to do. So I appreciate it for that reason. I don't want anybody to feel judged.
Right.
It's just I don't see the value in making myself that tired, that worn out, that stupid, or that delirious. Because that's just what would happen for me.
Because there might be a time when said friends a year from now look back and go, shit, that probably wasn't the greatest of ideas. But to each their own. But I can tell you that sitting on a computer for 12 to 15 hours a day on a regular basis is not good for you in multiple ways.
Yeah, exactly. So I just can't do those anymore, especially for my mental health. Like I have to be out moving. You know, I would have so much depression and anxiety if I just streamed 12 hours a day again. It's just not good for me. So
absolutely
5.5 to 6 seems to be the sweet spot where I'm pretty happy. Like when I'm streaming, that's about my stream length and I feel good and I get other stuff done during the day and I have energy to give to everyone in the stream without feeling like I'm shorting chat on their interactions with me because you know, I really give a fuck about my community. And if I'm not giving them my best, I feel bad. I want them to have my attention and know I care about them. So, yeah.
Next question from Middle Age Stream. What are your three favorite SNES titles?
Oh, well, Castlevania 4, Alien, and then it would probably have to be Power Rangers. I loved like the fighting aspect because Power Rangers was like adventure, but also with a lot of fighting in it. And that was, I don't know, it was cool.
Right up your alley.
That game. But then Super Mario World. So fuck.
Yeah. Tread carefully.
But then there's Aladdin. Can I give a top 5?
Sure.
Okay, so my top 5 definitely consists of, in no particular, Super Castlevania 4, Super Mario World, Aladdin, Power Rangers, and Aliens. Like those are easily my top 5 favorite SNES games.
Good choices.
Yeah.
Second to last question. This one is also from Myth. For Rhianim8or, have you looked into or even bought some of the new remakes of the classic consoles like NES or SNES?
I have an SNES Lite. I actually lost my original I lost my SNES in my divorce, and it was really sad for me. It was the biggest loss I could have had, which is hilariously childish, but I was so sad about it. So I bought I never rebought it after I lost it. And then one of my community members had an extra SNES Lite or SNES Classic laying around, the mini one. And he was like, hey, I was going to resell this. I'm not going to resell it. Like, here, just take it as a birthday gift. Like, so I've been playing that a lot. I love it. I will say the controllers aren't quite the same. And I find frustration with the controller responsiveness. So that's been a little bit hard. But other than that, I would say, yeah, I definitely do own one and I definitely play it. So
what was harder, the divorce or losing the Super Nintendo in the divorce?
I mean, honestly, if you ask my chat, probably losing the Super Nintendo because I talk about that part of it more than anything. Like, I'm still a little bitter. Like, I love my classic, but I really miss my cartridges and my console. Like, and I know I could just buy another, but I just haven't because I'm also a super frugal person. So It's like, I'm just like, no, I don't need to buy another. I have an SNES mini. And then I also have a Switch Lite now, so I can play a lot of the games. I can't play all of them. So like the practical side of me is like, you don't need to replace it. You don't need more stuff. You don't need to spend money that you don't need to spend, but yeah, probably the SNES, which that makes me sound like a terrible person. but like also the divorce was hard, but at the end of the day, it was meant to happen. I think it was meant to happen, and I think it served its purpose in my life. So,
okay.
I can let go of that easier than the needless loss of an SNES.
So, my homie Conbot in chat, okay, there it is. Okay. So I have a bot, Streamlabs chat bot grabs the questions from chat and then puts them into a CSV file. And sometimes for whatever reason, it gets fucked up and it just cuts off somebody's question. So Conbot's question, according to my bot, was move up. I'm pretty sure that wasn't the length of his question. So I had to re-ask it, and I was going to wait for him to post it, but he's right there. I'm sorry, Conbot. So his question, and our final question of the night, as someone in a similar work environment, live sports production / running for concerts, how do you move up without being an obnoxious person?
I mean, I just assume that I am probably obnoxious a lot. There's always going to be somebody that doesn't like me or thinks I'm obnoxious. I'm very boisterous. I don't follow the rules, unless it's a danger or, safety situation on set or things like that. Like, I just don't tend to follow any of the stereotypes. So I do truly just operate under the assumption that most people probably think I'm obnoxious. And then I do a really good job at what I do. And then they're like, holy fuck, like, we love her energy. And it's not actually an obnoxious energy then. Like, it's just like, holy shit, she has a lot of energy and she gets the job done at the end of the day. So that's kind of, I guess, the thing I can say is being genuine and forging lasting relationships with people, regardless of what they can give you, is how I've moved up. My buddy that gave me my first producing job this year, I've never kissed his ass. I probably never will. Like every message he gets from me is very genuine. He had a birthday the other day. I sent him a very sappy, heartfelt bullshit, message. Not bullshit in that it wasn't true, but just like it was all sap, But like he knows that's true. He knows that I genuinely look up to him like that because he's known me long enough to see that that's how I carry myself with the people I care about. So I think, like, honestly, without being obnoxious, it's just knowing to touch base every once in a while, feel out the field, notice when others are busy and they can't get back to you and accept that. And just occasionally throw yourself out there. The best thing that has happened for me, this is crazy to me, is utilizing social media, but in a way that is not overkill. So about a year and a half ago, when I decided to go into entertainment from studying medicine and stuff, I made a post. I got a gig on American Idol. I sent them my resume. They were in Denver. I sent them my resume. They called me within like an hour. They were like, holy shit, like there's a person here that actually does television. Like, we're going to hire you. So I worked with American Idol. I threw up on, and I was just assisting. It wasn't any prestigious sort of position. Like, I was working in the talent department assisting. And I posted on Instagram, I guess this means I'm back. And it was just a photo of my American Idol shirt and my walkie-talkie for the show. And literally within a day of posting that, somebody I used to work with a lot as an assistant back in the day, she messages me and she says, hey, are you in LA? Are you really back? Are you free Monday through Wednesday to work on the American Music Awards? And I'm like, I can be there. And like knowing full well that I'm in Denver and I have to drive to LA with 3 days and be there ready to work. And I was just like, I'm going to fucking make it work. So I showed up and then I started posting, just on social media, hey, this is what I'm working on. And you have to be very careful on set. A lot of sets, you can't take photos or you're fired on the spot. So it's using wisdom and knowing what I could post about to allude to what I was working on or different things like that. And I just started posting and it's like more and more people start saying, oh my God, she's back. And then like hitting me up and being like, hey, like we saw this or that about you, or that you've had these experiences now and you can probably handle this position. So it's just being willing to like showcase who you really are, but in a way that's genuine and humble and not trying to get things. Cause like, that's never my focus. Like I'm always surprised. Like, these calls I got last week about these 2 series, literally one of the producers, I got a call within 48 hours. I got a call from 2 different people on the same show wanting to hire me for the same job without knowing the other one wanted to hire me.
No shit.
Which was amazing for my ego, but like hilarious because neither of them even knew that the other person knew me. And the whole reason this happened was because they needed to hire a new person. They're on the phone with someone and that person says like, oh, I heard so-and-so's back. And this person that's known me a long time is like, oh my God, so-and-so's back. I'm going to call her right now. To me. And the only reason that happened, and I'm careful sharing these stories because like, these are things that are still in the works that could fall through tomorrow. This is not set out of a place of conceit or anything like that. But it's just that the reason either one of these people called me is because they know, like, if they get me a job, awesome. If they don't get me a job, great. I'm still going to give a fuck about you and help you. Like, do you need help moving tomorrow? I'll help you. Like, I want to be your friend. And then the work on top of that is just the icing on the cake, like getting to work with people you care about.
Right.
So, and I know that that's what it is for them. Like when one of the people heard I was back and he was so excited because like the person that told him about me was like, his whole voice changed on the phone. Like he was so excited to hear you were back. He just had no idea. And I'm like, that's awesome because back in the day, we had so many fun times working together. There were no airs about us. We just had fun on set and did whatever. And I fucked up a lot. I almost killed him once in a cargo van. It was terrible. I was a horrible driver. Like things happened. And so, like looking at the history, like it's literally just because we forged good relationships over the years. And I've at least stayed somewhat in touch and maintained relationships, however, deep or superficial they've been just because of time and distance. But I think that's the best way is just being yourself and like letting people know that you care, not just about the job, but you care about them, because I even told when I'm faced with picking between jobs, which is a new problem this year, usually as a freelancer, you're like, oh my God, who has work? I need work right now. And all of a sudden I'm like, and one of the guys that called me last week was like, I love sitting by and watching this part of your life and seeing you have this problem instead of the other problem. Because he's heard me crying on the phone to him about like, oh my God, I need a job so fucking bad before.
Right.
And he was like, I love seeing this. And I was like, yeah, but ultimately, like in my mind, my choice as far as jobs go is like, who am I going to be happiest with at the end of the day when I'm spending 12 hours a day with them? And all of this really, like I said, just happened by being genuine, by just putting myself out there. So just be myself and bust my ass. Like on set, I'm usually like, every job is every job. Like if you see a PA carrying a case of fucking water and breaking their back and not able to lift it, like fucking help them. Don't just stand there and watch them. I don't give a fuck if you're a producer or who you are.
Yep. Like
move your ass over there and help them carry this shit. This sucks. Like we're all in this to finish this project together with the least amount of like drama. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents. That was a big question. I always have big
no,
as I think about things. Sorry.
This is why I do the podcast, is to expand on these ideas and like get the conversation rolling, because I think that there is such an immeasurable amount of value in these types of conversations, not only for people that want to stream on Twitch, but just in general, like everyday things. I think they're amazing.
Every way that I've moved up has literally been by being me, and lots of opportunities fall through. I get people all the time that are like, ooh, well, keep in contact. I want to hire you on this or that. And then the disappointment is part of it. It fucking happens. It sucks. Yep. But, the moving up has only happened because I have been willing to be a person that can be trusted, have integrity, work hard, and do what's asked of me and maintain friendships with people, like the only reason I get producing jobs is because people know I'll show up. Like I may not have all of the expertise yet. I may need more experience, but I'll show up, I'll work hard. And I also know still, like, I know what I can share and when to shut my fucking mouth,
which is important.
Like, I can't particularly say these things or talk about this topic. I'm sorry. I would love to share with people, but it's not wise. Even like with the shows I'm choosing, it's like, I can't tell you what I'm choosing between. I can't tell you the circumstances behind it, but I can tell you, yeah, this was really awesome. 2 people I fucking love called me within 48 hours and both wanted to hire me. And that makes me fucking happy. Like, and it's knowing where those boundaries are too. That's really important so that people know they can trust you. So, which is big to me too, because most of my producers watch my shit.
Right.
Like I know they watch me on Twitch. They know I stream. And so it's also important to me to be careful how I conduct myself as far as work related conversations go and what I'm willing to say. So not necessarily how I conduct myself as far as being inappropriate or not, because they all just know I'm a hot mess.
Right.
So.
And they know you're going to get the job done at the end of the day, regardless of inappropriate comments.
Exactly.
The only thing that I will say to piggyback is, and this doesn't necessarily, it's not in relation to the career that you're talking about, Conbot. The three things that I can say is be genuine, give without expectation, and in a room full of people, it only takes one of them to make things go a certain way. So when you feel like the smallest person in the room and there's all of these people that don't like you, or you're afraid of acting a certain way because of the judgment that's going to come after the fact, always remember that it only takes one of those people to actually make something happen. And that, in my opinion, simplifies life a lot. And that's one thing that I always try to keep in the foreground of my mind.
I want to clip that and quote it for the rest of my life to keep those things in my mind, because I think that's wisdom. True. Like, I've worked with and met some really huge people over time. And had I been willing to be more of a person that wanted to like clout chase and stuff, I probably could be in a very different position than I am right now if I really wanted to be. But I don't think I could feel good about myself, you know, but it is like that one person that came back years later and gave me a shot and said, I believe in you. And that like fucking means the world to me, because it wasn't necessarily the person I would have expected to give me like that in or have that connection. But
right.
Yeah, you're totally right with that. That's amazing.
Well, I think that is a perfect place to end this podcast.
I know. I feel so bad. It went so long.
No, I feel okay. I swear to God, at every podcast, I look up at the timer and go, oh my God, it's been 3 fucking hours. But my genuine, like 100% transparency on the inside, I say to myself, I want these to go as long as possible. I was more concerned about your time than mine, because I got nothing to do after this. I'm just going to bed. But this is what happened tonight between the conversation at the beginning of the show and the ideas that we expanded on through the Q&A. This is exactly what I want out of the show.
Cool.
I love being able to sit down, explore other people's lives and their perspectives and their opinions, and just kind of hearing all the things that make somebody else glow, and hearing people talk about it is just such an awesome, it's really a privilege to be able to sit here and kind of observe what's going on. So it's been fucking awesome having you on the podcast.
Good. Yeah. I was nervous when you're like, what is your life like every day? So crazy. Like, what you see on the internet is actually exactly what it's like.
I know.
Like it's bananas. Like, I'm here right now. Tomorrow I have one day off, and I don't consider stream days as days off either, because like I work on those days. So like tomorrow I have one day off, and I've got to get ready to go to Anaheim, and then I'm back for 36 hours, and I leave for Orlando for a thing with Disney. And then tentatively, depending on what happens with these other 2 jobs, I'm either going to start on a series, or I leave immediately for Vegas for Soul Train Awards. So it's like, I don't even know what's happening. And then somehow in between there, I'm going to find time to roller skate, because that's my like one true love is roller skating. So I'm gonna find time to skate at the rink or the park, and then probably get into, who knows, go visit a cult, who knows, one of these random things that I do on like my 5 minutes that I have free,
you know,
on any given day of the week.
I know some Jehovah's Witnesses in Detroit that would love some new blood. Speaking of, if you ever are in Detroit for longer than 12 hours and I don't see you when I find out about it,
that would never happen.
Okay.
In fact, you know what's funny? Sean McLan in your chat, he and I have been trying to meet for 15 fucking years. Him and his wife are like, they met on the same site we met on. I have been to Florida so many times and tried to meet them, and it never fucking works. And like, I'm going to Orlando in a week and a half, and I'm like, I don't even care if it's like an hour for dinner. I want to fucking make this happen. Like, I want to be able to see them after 14, 15 years of not getting to like meet Sean. Like, it's hilarious to me. And like, yeah, so no, I will make it a point. And I want to visit Detroit. Detroit is I've been to almost all of the US states. I live 10 left. Or 8 left. And Michigan is one of them. And I really want to go to Detroit. So
awesome. We'll have some
Sean,
fun.
Shut up. I like you. I'm kidding to think she doesn't like us. No. Damn it.
Awesome. Well, what I would like for you to do is to take this time to sell out. I want you to talk about anything that you have coming up on Twitch, any streams, any games, any special events, any social media, anything. The floor is yours.
Awesome. So one thing I will ask is Stand Up to Cancer now has an official Twitch, and my good friend and co-producer Andy, who is also one of the founders of the Coin Boys podcast. Every Monday I'm on a podcast called The Coin Boys.
I met Andy at TwitchCon, right?
Yes, you did. Okay. Yes, you did meet Andy. So they're starting their Stand Up to Cancer initiative for games, raising money for their company sounds bad, but like for their organization for cancer, starting right now. So if you guys will check out Stand Up to Cancer's Twitch, follow it, support where you can, that would be amazing. Also the Coin Boys, I love at Coin Boys. That's our name, at Coin Boys podcast. It's a crypto tech and gaming podcast. We record every Monday at Mob Crush Studios, but I think we are actually not recording this week. So that's misstatement. But that's really important to me. As far as Twitch goes, I don't really have a set schedule because of my career. It's all over the place, unfortunately, but I try to be active on social media and let everybody know when I stream. It's going to be a little hit or miss the next 2 weeks and then should level out again. But I think that's mostly what is going on that I can talk about right now. I have a lot of things in the works, but I'm not really about myself. Like, check out the Coin Boys. I love guys. Check out Stand Up to Cancer. And that's a really important thing to me as far as like what I have going on right now. Yeah. What
games do you have planned coming up? Like, what are the games that you want to hit?
So right now I'm playing Outer Worlds, and I'm going to play. I get sick of it. Like, I'm definitely playing that one right now. Doom Eternal was supposed to be my next one, but it got delayed now until February, March. Yeah. So it's like, dang it, no Doom for me right now. But like, honestly, Outer Worlds is my main focus right now until I finish it. So, and then I'm sure I'll have some others in the pipeline. I have a list, but I don't plan that far ahead.
Fair.
I'm probably a terrible streamer for that, but like, I look at grids and spreadsheets and like online votes and documents of everything. She's so fucking organized. Like, Gray is my hero in that department. I am not that person. I'm literally like, which game boots up today and like what doesn't crash my system and what can I play? Like, I am the worst.
It's such an easier way to live.
I mean, it is for me, but like for our friends like Gray and stuff would go crazy living that way though.
Right.
Like, she would go insane not being able to plan like that. She's in her element. She's very good at it. So I can't do that. I'm just like, hey, I'm here. Let's play a game. Or maybe I'll talk for 2 hours before I play a game today. Who knows?
I love doing that. I love doing that so much. Just going live, thinking about playing a game, and then just talking for 4 hours.
It's always 30 to 45 minutes before I start my game.
Same.
People have just gotten used to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it was fucking awesome having you on the podcast. Thank you. I now understand how busy of a schedule that you have. And I really appreciate you taking a piece of your Sunday to devote to the podcast and gracing us all with your presence.
Fun. Thank you. No, it's super fun. I love it. It was awesome. I love doing podcasts. It's something I've been really interested in delving more into. It turns out I enjoy it a lot more than everything else I do. So I've been looking for more avenues. When you hit me up, I was like, hell yeah. And then I felt so bad when I had to delay it, but it was just like, it was worth waiting. I think it was good timing and I had more to talk about. So
it always comes back around.
Yeah, it totally does.
Cool. All right. Well, chat, if any of you guys want to stick around to raid another channel, I would really appreciate it. But we are going to end the podcast here. Episode 109 will be next week with Middle-Aged Stream. And I think Bishop GP. I didn't ask him if he wanted to be on yet, but I'm just going to throw him on the fire, on the coals. Bishop, you're on the podcast next Sunday. Thank you guys all so much for coming through, hanging out, and supporting Rhianim8or and myself. We really appreciate it. You guys all have a fantastic day. Night. If you're on the East Coast, you got 3 days left or 3 hours left on your Sunday. We're on Monday already as of now. So thank you guys again so much. You all have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.